Rickety biscuits, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And welcome to the show where we wax poetic about the movies we see on a month-to-month basis. It's time to crack open our Academy Award nominated Movie Memoirs! No, it's not actually Academy Award nominated. Could you imagine if Movie Memoirs somehow got nominated for an Oscar?
I don't think that's possible, Tiki.
I know,
for many reasons. For one, it would be an Emmy.
Podcast awards. There's a pod. I know for a fact there's a podcast awards. So
all right. Keep dreaming, Skippy.
All right. So, Dragon, we got a ton to get into, man. This is a really busy month. I don't even really think we have much time to give a thesis. You have a quick thesis you want to give for the month?
No, not really. Just April was jam-packed, kids.
I think it's funny because I feel like we were light on like actual April movies, but my God, we had a lot everywhere else. So let's just get right into it. We have the news, and we also have Lunar Moonflower in the comments saying Skippy Dragon. I don't know what.
No. I called you Skippy because you were being really, dreaming a little high in the sky for me.
Oh, right, yes. Okay. So, hey there, Lunar Moonflower. How you doing? All right. So, Dragon news. What do we got? Let's get this train going.
All right. So, just to economize, like we wish the actual ceremony did, let's talk the Oscars 2021. Again, hence your pie in the sky, little hopeful thing there. So, Oscars 2021. I think on the whole, it was a mess. Right? It wasn't good.
I think honestly, like the opening scene was really cool. Like the whole, like, oh, we're gonna treat it like a movie, and here's this cool tracking shot. And then Dragon, it was honestly like pretty much all downhill after that.
I mean, I'm gonna give you just my takeaway from the Oscars. Okay, very, very, very quick. So, Glenn Close. Kind of the best part of enjoyment of the Oscars I had, which is not saying much, but Glenn Close is kind of like
the butt bit is cringe, but I guess comedy is subjective.
I'm just saying, after the slog of that Oscars, it's good to see Glenn Close get her due, man. I'm just saying, Glenn Close having a good time making everybody laugh. Good for Glenn Close. She keeps getting nominated. I knew this year was not going to pan out for her, but you know what? She's still there, man. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so he had that, her kind of pound around rail, and Tom. Okay, the best speech I felt for me was Tom Vinterberg, your guy.
Yeah.
Your guy had a really moving speech. I thought
he did, man. And as you know, I've been, I kind of put a pause on it this month. I went in some other directions, but I'm about halfway through watching his entire filmography, and yeah, I'm really into him for sure.
Very happy he won.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's a big negative I had before we talk about the thing everyone wants to talk about, then we'll move on from the Oscar thing. It really bugged me. They did the in memoriam on fast forward. I thought that was really
I heard about that. Yeah. I didn't watch the whole ceremony. I only kind of caught like some of the big bits, like on clips on YouTube. But
I wish I could have watched it on fast forward, honestly, but not the in memoriam section.
But let's talk about some of the, as far as stuff that's won, Dragon, I feel like we're going to sprinkle in a lot of opinions based on some of the catch-up that I have. But all I can say is that, with the big controversy of changing the best picture and best actor, it was just idiotic.
Like, it led to a really weird ending. If we just we build everything up, then hey, there's picture, and then what's up with the actors behind the picture?
And the winner is the guy that everyone wasn't expecting, and he's not even here to accept his award. Okay,
because guys, he didn't expect he was going to win either.
But I will say, Dragon, just let's just tease it up, all right? Because it's going to be a long time before we actually get to it in the podcast. Anthony Hopkins and the father is nothing short of phenomenal. And from a historic point of view, I would have liked to have seen Chadwick win, just because obviously that was his last chance to win. And, it's kind of depressing that he's going to go down as never having won an Oscar. But Dragon, just Hopkins. Oh my God, it's
And you thought I was crazy for throwing Hopkins out there.
I didn't think you were crazy, but I didn't think the chances were likely. I thought it was a done deal.
I mean, nor did I. Like, in all fairness, like, I figured, like, Boseman had it locked down for many reasons, but also that was a really awesome final performance. I wasn't fully crazy about that movie, mainly how it ended, but that his performance was top tier in that film. Mm-hmm. It was a way to go out if you're going to go out. But I have two things to say on the matter. Is that, one, of course, it's great that Hopkins, it's great that he won, of course, his second Oscar win since Silence of the Lambs, and of course, he's 83 years old, makes him the oldest recipient. That's really cool. But truly, it's a crime that the Oscars only nominated Chadwick Boseman once in his career, and it was towards the end. So honestly, I don't want people just going after him. Like, how dare you win this award? Because that's not fair. You did a great job. But you know what it is? It's that they had two really great nominees, and the tragedy is we're not going to give Boseman another shot at it. And in this situation, what they should have done, Tiki, should have done the tie. It has happened before. We should have done a tie.
Has it happened?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I assume for actors,
I really don't think they can statistically do that unless it happens naturally. Like, they can't rig it to happen.
Well, what I'm saying is, in the past, there have been people who won Oscars as a ties, and two people would win the same Oscar. And I'm saying, if two people really deliver in their role, I mean, to this degree.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, you're saying they should have, but I'm saying it all comes down to the votes. Like, obviously, they were expecting Chadwick to win, and so they were expecting Chadwick to win so much that they pushed the best actor thing to the end.
Well, I'm assuming a lot of votes came in potentially for two parties, and I'm saying there's a chance they could have gotten the same amount of votes, Tiki.
I don't want to push the issue, but...
Hey, well, the point being, I wish they both could have gotten the Oscar, all right?
All right.
Claude,
watch The Father, buddy. Like, I agree that I was, at first, I was bummed and a little shell-shocked that Chadwick didn't win, but then I actually watched The Father, and I think The Father is going to go down as like a Daniel Day-Lewis and There Will Be Blood level performance, and I don't say that lightly, so...
I wish I could echo that sentiment, but I was not able to watch The Father, unfortunately, so...
I offered you a link! Just want to throw that out there. You were the good boy who didn't take it, but I offered it. All right. Anyways, so what's next, Dragon?
Well, you're up.
Okay, yeah, let's dive tail from the Thomas Winterberg thing into another round is being picked up by Leonardo DiCaprio's production company. Dragon, what I'm assuming this is going to mean is that I'm assuming that Leo's going to play the Mads Mikkelsen role.
I mean, again, if he's going to be in the movie, that would be a logical role for him, I'd
right.
assume.
And Dragon, I am hoping that Scorsese directs. I really am.
Okay, that would absolutely get me to see both versions of Another Round if that happens.
Well, I really think it's kind of... I think you should see it anyways, but
eventually.
Whatever.
I'm just saying that would be like an immediate thing. Like, hey, Scorsese's going to direct Another Round. Like, oh my god, I gotta watch them both now.
Okay, here's what excites me about this besides just the Leo thing, which, by the way, I think Leo is just perfect casting for that Mads Mikkelsen role. Dragon, I honestly think this story, Another Round, just to for anyone who's not aware, that was my number one of 2020. I still stand by it. I think one or two movies I saw in catch up got close, specifically The Father, but this it is my number one. Dragon, honest to God, as much as it's my number one of 2020, I really think if they get the right talent, like Scorsese, for example, they could really zero in on something where I really think the story of Another Round is even more potent in American culture. Because America just has this sick kind of love affair with alcohol. And I'm not really all that familiar with, obviously I'm not all that familiar with Danish culture and how dependent on alcohol it is. But Dragon, honestly, in Another Round, as much as I love the movie, it was a little quaint. It's just kind of like a few school teacher friends being like, hey, let's get a little buzzed every day and see what happens. I'm picturing with this, they could go kind of like more Wolf of Wall Street with it, where it's like, pump the energy up, pump the pump the. I could just see it being kind of like a whole metaphor on how America is kind of like addicted to their booze culture.
You can give him the honest answer, T. You just want to see DiCaprio dance at the end.
Yeah, I do. I'll cite Kendrick Lamar's swimming pools. That kind of energy. I know you don't know what that is, Dragon, but
I have no idea remotely what that is.
Well, that's just because you don't listen to good music. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. That was harsh.
How dare you?
I'm sorry. I mean, it's not like Kendrick Lamar made what everyone considers to be the best album of the 2010s or anything.
I barely know who Kendrick Lamar is.
Well, that's anyways. All right. He is. Maybe we should do a Black History Heroes on him, Dragon, and I can educate you.
All right, let's.
That's for February. That's for February. All right.
Yeah, so let's just
say. Anyways,
hold my beer. We're talking about Kendrick Lamar.
All right. So, any other thoughts on this? Because I personally, as a big fan of Another Round, there was a chance I could be like, oh, I don't know if if the wrong person did an American remake, let's say I don't know, a Todd Haynes, for example, or that's a name where it's I'm interested to see Todd Haynes' next movie after Joker, but I could see him taking that material and just really not understanding it. But I think that Leo, if he gets Scorsese or if he gets people who have written under Scorsese, I really think it could be something great. And I honest to God think it could be on the same caliber as the original. I really do. I think we could be looking at an Infernal Affairs Departed situation.
Okay, well, first of all, it's not Todd Haynes, it's Todd Phillips.
Oh God, there is a Todd Haynes. Who am I thinking of?
I mean, off the top of my head, I don't. The name sounds familiar, but I don't.
I'm sure there's a Todd Haynes, but yes, you're right.
But he didn't direct Joker. I know that much.
He is a filmmaker. Hold on.
Anyway,
let's see.
And back to the topic at hand. I gotta tell you, I would be interested to see Mads Mikkelsen be the only holdover in a remake of Another Round. Just knowing, he's also done American works all the time. So it'd be kind of interesting to see him.
He could definitely play one of the main character's school teacher friends for sure.
No, I mean it's possible too, but I mean literally taking on the same role would be interesting. But I mean, yeah, you're right. It would be why do it again?
Todd Haynes directed Dark Waters.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that was great. Yeah, Todd Haynes is a really good director.
Yeah, along with a bunch of really weird shit like the Bob Dylan I'm Not There movie and
that's true.
Carol, which I didn't really care for, but Dark Waters I need to see. So
seriously, Dark Waters is really good.
All right. Anyways.
Anyway, Ruffalo's aside. So yeah, so let's transition to the next news item.
We go from one Mads Mikkelsen to another Dragon.
Yes. Mikkelsen being our connecting point here. So Indiana Jones 5, which is yet to have a title. Indy 5. We got some cast. We got three recognizable names thrown at us here. So first off, Mads Mikkelsen. So assumedly the bad guy, but yeah, you never know. But let's just assume smartly bad guy.
He literally just plays the most likable Indy side character since Sala. Just not a malicious bone in his body.
Possible. Well, I mean, seriously, Mikkelsen is charming, though. Hence, I mean, the man played Hannibal Lecter for 3 seasons. He could absolutely play likable.
Dragon, my heart broke for the man in The Hunt, and you know it. So,
oh yeah. So let's see.
Mads Mikkelsen, if he is in fact what we're all expecting him to be, which is the villain of an Indiana Jones movie, perfect casting.
100%. Let's see. We have a Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Now, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Have you never looked into Fleabag? Did you?
No.
Yeah, really good show on Amazon. The second season gets really good. I want to say I don't think there are 3 seasons. There may or may not be 3 seasons, but they got 2 seasons. The second season, Andrew Scott comes into play. The guy who played Moriarty in the Sherlock show, and he was Obake in Big Hero 6. That guy.
Oh, okay.
He's really good. The point being, she plays this kind of fourth wall breaking character in the show. Who's the lead of the show? We didn't even give her a name. We just call her Fleabag essentially, which is really interesting. So it's a lot of fun structurally. So she's going to be in the movie. A lot of people think she might be really teamed up with Indy for the majority of the film. Like some people are speculating Indy might have had a daughter. Not sure, But I'm just saying, there's no idea who she's playing, but it's good casting.
All right.
And lastly, Thomas Crutchman. Thomas Crutchman was, if I'm saying that remotely right, Thomas Crutchman. He played Baron. Sorry, not Baron Zemo. He played Baron von Strucker in the MCU.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
So a good cast. I love
could
that
totally
casting.
see him playing like kind of like that classic kind of like muscle man character.
Sure, I mean that, and also we've seen like with the full monocle and everything in the Age of Ultron. I can absolutely see him being a bad guy if Mads Mikkelsen is not. So I mean these two guys absolutely. I mean, the point is, I love this casting already. These are three really good names, and they feel like that kind of naturalistic.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, do we have a director on Indy 5?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, we do, and it's a really big one.
Yeah, it's Mangold. I love Mangold.
That is like the hook of Indy 5 for me. So yeah.
Oh yeah, James Mangold gonna hopefully give Indy a sunset, kind of a sunset of a last movie.
All right. Okay, so finally, Dragon. This is literally a dream project of ours.
Yep.
And, yeah, it kind of feels surreal that it's actually happening. Muppet Man, the Jim Henson biopic.
Yes, I was very delighted to get this news that they're finally doing it. Now, interestingly, compared to a lot of the other stuff, this is a Disney-sanctioned biopic. This is a full-on, like, Disney. They're doing this along with Lisa Henson, Jim Henson's daughter, one of his daughters.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I kind of wish it wasn't, but we'll see what happens. I mean, Saving Mr. Banks was great, but we all know it could have, like, if it was it wasn't meant to be a full Walt biopic, Dragon, but we all know that Disney would never make an actual Walt biopic that got into the weeds with everything.
Right. I mean, to be fair, I mean, basically the big question of the movie is, of course, when will we, when are we going to do the biopic thing we're doing in recent years where it's about an event rather than the whole lifespan, or if it's going to be the whole lifespan. Any way you slice it, I mean, I could easily see this as a story if they're going to be really gutsy with it and really self-effacing. The big Disney deal of it all. That's the question. Like, are we going to go real to the teeth about the Eisner and the Katzenberg of it all?
There's no way. There's no way.
Wouldn't it be? But I know. But wouldn't it be amazing if they did? Would it be amazing? Because Katzenberg's not there anymore. I mean, I'm just saying, And here's the thing. Here's the one.
Honestly think we have a better chance of getting a Waking Sleeping Beauty biopic than we do of that happening.
God, I would love that. But no, seriously, here's the thing. There was a lot of love in that deal too, in which Jim Henson did respect the Disney name. So there is a question of maybe there could be a little bit of push and pull there. I don't know. I know it's a pipe dream. I'm fully aware it's a pipe dream. I'm just saying the point being it's an interesting detail that could shape the course of the biopic. And we have a writer on it. They announced the writer, Michael Mitnick. Now this guy did the one you told me about. He did The Current War.
Oh yeah, right. Oh god. I told you about it. I never saw it. But
I know.
Took me a second to even register what that was.
Oh, The Current War.
Oh god.
It's the obscure kind of like the battle over the patents.
Right,
but anyway, so there have been some rumored castings. People have been throwing out their fan casting for who should play Jim Henson. Of course, I'm always champion Paul Rudd for Jim Henson, but there was a casting choice I told you about that was thrown out that actually sounds really good. That kind of I would never in a million years would have thought of. Do you remember?
Yeah, tell me.
Adam Driver.
Oh yeah, right.
I never thought of it, but especially after Marriage Story, Adam Driver, especially with kind of a frazzled, the man can play many layers, but especially with kind of like the frazzled Jim Henson, maybe during those fraught times. I mean, just in general, like just seeing kind of a side of Jim Henson we always identify. I think he could be really good in that role. I mean, I don't know if I'd supersede my Paul Rudd casting, but I mean, it could be interesting.
Yeah. All right. What about Quinto?
Zachary Quinto. Not for Jim Henson. I would not. Eli Roth in a heartbeat. He could be Eli Roth like tomorrow. Not Jim Henson.
I'm just kind of thinking like in terms of like the soft-spoken nature of how he performs.
I mean, true, but I don't know.
All right. Anyways.
Also, Lunar Moonflower says Adam Driver could break my heart, and I would thank him for it. A lot of love for Adam Driver, says Lunar Moonflower. All right.
All right. So Malcolm Spellman developing Cap 4. I think it was pretty obvious that this was going to happen. Either that or Captain America and Winter Soldier. I honestly think this is a better direction to go in than just immediately doing a Captain America and Winter Soldier show. Because it's been quite a long time since we've had a Captain America movie, and obviously we have a lot of material now to build off of. So, you know, I didn't love Falcon Winter Soldier as much as most people did, but I think it had a lot of strong merits in it. You know, the Isaiah Bradley stuff, as I keep saying, was fucking wonderful. So, you know, if anything else, I'm excited to see what sort of kind of like heavy hitting topics they can tackle with this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way things worked out are, we have kind of the transitional story with the TV show, and now we can just kind of jump into it. Okay, well, we have our new Captain America at the top of this new Captain America franchise potentially. So, I like that we're announcing, hey, we're doing more Captain America movies. Having moved on, we're getting more of this big, more of our new idea. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely happy about it. It's I'm hoping that the show works as like a Captain America: The First Avenger, and this movie perhaps works as a Winter Soldier equivalent. Like we ironed out some of the bugs, and now we're smooth sailing. It's going to be really good stuff.
We just need a better villain, Dragon.
That's what I'm saying, which I think is entirely possible. I heard some rumors of Red Skull returning, which I mean has happened in the comics. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I will say that if that happens, I think a movie would definitely be a better format for that than the TV show. So
I wonder if we would secretly do the Thunderbolts within Captain America 4 instead of doing a Thunderbolts movie. I mean, they haven't really. Obviously, they're working towards a villain team up of some variety.
All I know is I want to see Baron Zemo and Justin Hammer share a scene together, Dragon. I saw that floated out there somewhere on the internet, and I can't stop thinking about it.
Well, in Armor Wars, Justin Hammer must show up.
Justin Hammer needs to return, man. There's no way they cannot. It's been way too long. Everyone wants him.
Yeah.
It's crazy because it's like Iron Man 2 is like at the bottom of most people's MCU tier list, but at the same time, people still go nuts for the Hammer, man.
Well, they're saying
Dragon.
They're saying they're going to bring out some old villains. So I mean, Justin Hammer would quantify as an old villain. So we'll see.
Yeah. Oh God, you know what? Come to think of it, they're kind of bringing the whole gang back together because we got Abomination, possibly Red Skull.
Yep. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Also, the one thing I did hear, it's pretty much all but confirmed that we're going to have the new Black Widow in that movie as well. So the Elena, the Black Widow, it's going to be introduced in the movie coming out. So
Florence Pugh.
Yes, Florence Pugh, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So speaking of Disney Plus Marvel.
Yeah, Dragon, I don't have a ton to say about this, but I'm glad it's going down.
Yeah, so Disney Plus and Sony, yet again, like parents in divorce court, they are.
God.
I only brought up the Adam Driver. I got Marriage Story on the brain now.
Mm-hmm.
Disney Plus and Sony, they kind of ironed out details because again, the annoying thing about Disney Plus is like I'm kind of as a salesman, I somewhat am like trying to sell people on Disney Plus. And like, oh, look how bountiful it is! It's all there for all the Marvel stuff with 3 exceptions. But now we're going to give Spider-Man a place to go. Now, for a while, leading up to this news, the word was Netflix signed a deal to exclusively stream Spider-Man, but apparently Disney didn't like that, so they plopped down more money and conversed with Sony. So now, after the Netflix run, which I assume now will be a lot briefer than it was intended to be, it will go to Disney Plus. So everything but the Incredible Hulk, which hopefully will also be rectified. Disney's got a lot of money. I don't know.
Does it really matter? Does it really matter? Let's be fair here. Let's be fair.
Come on, yes, it does matter. I mean, don't you want to say all the Marvel movies are on Disney Plus instead of all but one?
I really feel like the Incredible Hulk at this point barely counts.
Oh, it counts a lot more in Captain Marvel. Come on.
Yeah, I don't even know. About that.
It's a better movie.
As much as Captain Marvel is a mediocre movie, I don't even know if I could argue that.
The Incredible Hulk is well made.
Yeah, I've never liked it, but
look, when the Abomination shows up in She-Hulk, you know there's going to be interest in. Oh, I want to watch that Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, I know, and that's yeah. Anyways, okay, but yeah, I'm glad it's happening. You know, I don't have a ton to add beyond good for them. Mom and Dad worked out their divorce issues. All right. Okay, Dragon Claude has a few brief bits that we should probably touch on. Hilary Duff starring in the sequel series to How I Met Your Mother. Don't have much to say about it. I probably won't watch it because I haven't seen the original. But
I think How I Met Your Father is a dumb idea. Just in concept, like someone telling me that. Well, why would you do that?
It's nice to see Hilary Duff doing something after the Lizzie McGuire reboot kind of like went up in flames, though. So good for her.
That makes it even worse because I wanted that Lizzie McGuire reboot. I want to watch that.
Did you really? I didn't know you were interested in that.
Well, I'm just saying I'm interested. I'm not like dedicated to it, but I'm just like, you know what? I mean, I watched that show back in the day. I would give it a shot if it were coming back. At least I give it the first episode. You know,
right.
I just want to see what that looks like.
Dragon, this is actually something we should really talk about. Did you see this?
Yes, I did, and I gotta tell you, I'm having misgivings about it.
I'm very mixed on it.
Right?
Not a big fan of the animation style, but what I will say, I'm glad they're emphasizing that they definitely struck a chord with in the trailer. Like, hey, look, we're emphasizing this, is the imagination.
I mean, sure, but you know, I kind of like the mundane imagination of the original. But for all I know, they could also be doing that. But it's just I don't know. Sometimes just the animation's really throwing me off. I don't know how much that's me versus how much that's
you are
maybe.
not wrong, and I could see this totally being a series where I check out the first episode out of curiosity and then just never watch another episode.
Sure.
Or I could be really into it. I mean, you never know. It's all in the execution. But as of right now, I'm not really planning on really engaging with this.
Claudia's next point is breaking news, actually. Not like brand spanking like the last hour, but it was today.
Yeah, right. I really think this is a classy video. Like Tom Hiddleston comes out. We know Tom Hiddleston on a first name basis, apparently, Dragon.
Apparently.
Okay, it's Tom.
Seriously, I love that Loki theme so much, and he's made that promo all the more. Like just Tom Hiddleston's charming the camera as you have like, that Loki theme is awesome, Tiki. I'm loving it so much.
So Loki literally pushed the release date to Loki up 2 days, Dragon.
Yep. Wednesdays are the new Fridays. Which also, I think the reason for this is because of the Bad Batch and the May the 4th
the Bad Batch is in Fridays. Yeah, that's exactly the reason for it.
Well, I mean, it's that, but no, well, I mean, the Bad Batch is probably wrapped up by the time Loki happens, Tiki. What I'm saying is the Bad Batch launched on May the 4th, which, was the 4th Tuesday or Wednesday?
It was Tuesday.
Okay, well, no, it makes no sense then. I don't know why. Just they're doing it just to come earlier.
All right. I mean, I'm not complaining about it.
No, hey, we get it faster, man. I'll take it earlier in the week. Yes, please.
Right. All right. Okay, so yeah, and then also, Dragon, one thing I want to just rant on just for a hot second, if I can, all right?
All right.
Cartoon Network, what the fuck you doing? I'm not even talking about just Infinity Train. We'll get to Infinity Train, but Dragon, apparently Cartoon Network is just kind of just exclusively for kids now, and like just anyway, this really just pisses me off. It really does.
I really hope there's a specific reason for this rant.
I'm not going to spend too much time lingering on this, but I'm just saying, like, for Cartoon Network to essentially just be like, yeah, we canceled Infinity Train because, you know, like, we just want to focus on, like, little kids. It's a
Did they say that?
Basically, Dragon, yes. Like, not those exact words, but they basically...
So not remote. They didn't remotely say that, did they?
Dragon, in there, they basically kind of came out and said that they're focusing more on content for younger audiences. Like, that was, and I honestly think it's a slap in the face. I really do. I think it's a slap in the face to their legacy. I think it's a slap in the face to their fans. I think it's a slap in the face to the genre of animation as a whole. I'm really fucking pissed off about it. And at this point, I'm pretty much boycotting Cartoon Network. You know, I'll still watch Rick and Morty, but honestly, if it weren't for the podcast, I don't know if I think morally, I don't even know if I'd watch Rick and Morty. Yeah, I'm not happy about this at all. I'm really it's just fucking ridiculous. It's just like animation. Like, one of the big reasons why I started this podcast outside of the theme park stuff was that I'm such a big fan of animation as a medium. You know, I'm such a big fan of animation as just like being so much more than just kids stuff. And Cartoon Network's just being like, no, we're just going to veer entirely in the opposite direction. Okay, I'm done, Dragon. What's next?
Anyway, so let's end on a positive note with the
Yes,
news.
yes.
Let's talk. We got the Luca trailer.
Yeah, and Dragon, I gotta say, I'm really holding out. Like, I'm not getting too excited for this, but I think it looks charming as hell. I really do.
Yeah, we didn't get a whole lot more than the little tease we got at what is it,
Uh-huh.
like, not D, I keep wanting to say D23, but the investors meeting, the
Yeah,
investors day
yeah.
meeting thing. So essentially, the plot wise, what we got are the two boys are sea monsters who are posing as human at the Italian Riviera. And I gotta tell you, I got a vibe that we're gonna do maybe an immigrant experience parallel, you know?
I could see that. Totally, totally.
So I think that's all. I got kind of got a little vibe of that with the whole we're scared of the fathers like cutting up all the fish and everything. And I'm kind of with of course the cat with the mustache is a hysterical joke. I love that so much.
And I will
But
just say that my grandmother is a second generation Italian. Her mother immigrated from Italy. So Dragon, just speaking from a cultural perspective, like it's cool to see. It's like this might be my Coco Dragon as far as culture is concerned.
so here's the one thing that could gum the works up on that. It's the only thing I'm afraid of, but we won't really know until we get either honestly till the movie happens, really, unless you're there like a summary plot description. Because the issue is hopefully I'm wondering if it's going to be a period piece. If it's a period piece, or at least like non-specified, like if it's too modern, there might be more of a disconnect with the immigrant experience parallel if they are doing that, which I'm getting a sense they are, which I think would be stronger if it weren't like in the modern day like with smartphones and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but by the same time, I don't necessarily think that Pixar. Yeah, I mean, look at what we did with the Mitchells versus the Machines and smartphones. It's not impossible to do a great story that happens to have modern
Well,
technology.
I don't. The technology is not the point. Dave. The point is like a smartphone would signify, okay, we're in the modern day, which means I don't know if the immigrant experience with the Italians necessarily is as palatable and as interesting an issue as it might have been
I'm not
earlier.
even
Like,
talking about the immigrant experience. I'm just talking about just the culture in general, just the location, the culture, the vibe. Uh, that's what I'm into.
well, I'm sure they're going to do find that anyway. So I'm just saying if there is an immigrant experience thing to it, which there may or may not be. I'm saying if there is, then if there are, if it's less modern, I think it would
I
play
think you
better.
might
But
be leaning too hard into that. Like
well,
I,
again, I'm just speculating whether
yeah,
if it happens. I'm not saying it has to happen. I'm just saying right now we're not given much in a trailer, but if we,
yeah.
maybe.
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't really think that's something to fret over one way or another. So, all
Right.
right. So let's get into TV. All right. So Falcon and the Winter Soldier. For God's sake, I've said everything I need to say about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Dragon. I really have. I'm just like, I'm looking at this on the list. I'm just like, I am done talking about this show. It's a good show, but like, I don't have anything to add. John Walker was great. Carly was shit. Isaiah Washington was brilliant. Overall, the
Okay, not
characterization
Isaiah
of Falcon
Washington.
and Bucky was on point.
Isaiah Bradley.
Did I say Isaiah Washington? Oh, Jesus
Yes.
Christ. Oh,
I made that
that man is
mistake
not
before too, but not like, in ages though. Not until we got the show.
good. All right. Isaiah Bradley, yes. But yeah, I don't have anything to add, Dragon. I pretty much said my piece on it.
All right, so Falcon Winter Soldier finally happened. I'm very happy with it. Again, it had some great action, it had some great heroics, but ultimately it's this intimate struggle of a passing the torch story. And as Tiki said, U.S. Agent was very captivating. How we did that story captivating? Okay, well,
Mm.
but yeah, of course, mainly how we adapted the Isaiah Bradley story. I thought we did that brilliantly and used him as the emotional crux of the story. Admittedly, a little more delicately, we stumbled with the villains in the end, no question. But the adventure getting there, absolutely thrilling and worth kind of arriving at our new status quo of Phase 4. It's kind of the big takeaway of this, which again maybe will bleed into the Cap 4 of it all. And ultimately, I think we did right by the Captain America franchise with this show. So I'm very happy with it. It was very much what I was waiting for, and it left me very very happy.
Claude, the only reason why I'm going to give the title a pass is because I like the Captain America and the Winter Soldier title reveal, all right? I'm still not a fan of the title, generally speaking. Okay. Next up, Big Hero 6, the series, Season 3. Claude, you were on this podcast. Yay. I thought it was fine. I thought it could have wrapped up a lot better, but I also thought it could have wrapped up a lot worse. I don't really think that that splitting the episodes into 10-minute chunks helped. At the same time, I thought I thought using Noodle Burger Boy as the main antagonist and having like the robot mascots was really fun. It was it was clearly the most lighthearted season of the show, and I honestly think in some ways that helped it. Overall, I think the show really isn't as great as it could have been. I think season 1 with the Obake plot was a big high. It had a lot of potential, and I don't really think it ever lived up to that potential after that. But it was still fun. I'm glad I watched season 3. It was a good time.
Yeah, bigger. Season 3, sadly for me, I think sadly was the last season when I think finally we've been waiting for a couple seasons. It cracked cracked the 11-minute code of like we can showcase more characters and kind of tell stories without treading water for time in between the 11-minute mark. And honestly, if you look at it, everyone but Wasabi got to shine this season. If you really look at it, we had a lot of fun. Noodle Burger Boy.
Wasabi's always just been on the bench for like most of the series.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. I mean, he taught the class that one episode, and that's been about it.
Right.
Of course, the Heathcliff episode I thought was absolutely my favorite.
Oh my god, yeah.
Love the Heathcliff episode. Then of course this season also had I think the worst episode of Big Hero 6 ever with that terrible K-pop episode.
Right.
I hate it. Let's see. Go-Go finally got an episode, which was great after 3 seasons of waiting. Just overall, I thought it was a fun season. I gotta tell you, it's a nice bow on things at the very end that we wrap things up. So whether they're going out or not, it's like they ended on a nice note. Now we're gonna get that Baymax show. Probably gonna be a little bit more minimal, but still a little.
I do agree with Claude that Obake was a far better villain than the villain from the original movie. Far better. I mean, honestly, there's a lot I like about the original movie. The villain honestly kind of holds it back.
But the series did help redeem Yoko.
Swap out the villain, and I honestly, I do think a lot of Big Hero 6, the movie, is kind of on the mediocre side, but I do think that the Tadashi and Hero stuff is genuinely, easily some of the best stuff that Disney did in the 2010s. Like that, oh god, that stuff is like some Disney highs right there. So, anyways. Okay, what's next? We have Infinity Train, Book 4, Duet. Yeah, this was bittersweet.
Yeah, so this is kind of the opposite of the Big Hero 6 thing for me, where this is also bittersweet for a final season, but not for the same reasons. Like it's like, hey, they finally cracked the code. Oh no, they're going out on this note.
Yeah, I mean, it would be absolutely fine if this was just like a breather halfway point, after the soul-crushing season 3, but no.
Soul-crushing in a good way, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, here's the thing. The duo shake-up in structure, that's a good idea. That's interesting. If you're going to shake things up, okay, we're going to do a whole duo thing. We don't really do much with that whole plot point, but, we're going to make them a duo. And it basically is kind of downhill after episode 1 for me. Every time I look back at Infinity Train Book 4, it's like, after that first episode, it has like kind of the something stupid from Better Call Saul split screen effect. Which I think episode 1 was a really good premise, a really good pilot for that season, but very good kind of setup for that season. It just all went downhill ultimately. It's a well-intended season. It's fine. I think it's just fine. This very blatantly. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it is outclassed by season 3. And I don't know how much of season 4's fault that is, because season 3 was astonishingly good. But, honestly, the real estate of the car is delivered as it usually tends to do, but just the payoffs kind of petered out. That's really what it is. And Kez is a hit or miss character. That's kind of that, it'll kill your show.
It was just it just felt like a very watered down, like, you know, like I feel like the big draw of the show is the fact that the Infinity Train, like, you know, it's a noble intention, but it causes some really fucked up results. And whereas this season, I feel like it's pretty much the most straightforward. Like, yeah, we're gonna, you know, it's just like these characters are gonna learn a little lesson about each other, and all's gonna be well and good by the end.
And here's the real shame, okay? The real shame is Owen Dennis, the guy who show ran Infinity Train. He laid out like a lot of the plans that were in discussion for the, you know, they were hoping to go 8 seasons and maybe a movie. And yeah, he laid out some really interesting ideas, some great continuations, and also, I mean, they were planning a lot. So there were gonna be games for this Tiki. There was gonna be a lot of stuff, and now
I
nothing.
am very interested, Dragon. I'm gonna tease this right now. So You Want to Be an Imagineer is coming back for its 19th season. And Dragon, there's absolutely no way I'm going to let that event pass up without doing an Infinity Train project.
Mm.
I think Infinity Train is ripe for material in the theme park setting. All right. So yeah, and I will just say I'm still like even if it's like 10 years down the line, there's no way we're never gonna see this show again. There's no way.
I know people are trying to save it right now, but you know, we'll see. I mean, I'm hoping maybe
I
again.
participated in that.
That's good to hear. So
Right.
we'll see. And again, this is Claude's just throwing out like they're planning to have a Christmas special. Season 5 is gonna be a movie length. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Aren't
So
all
happier
seasons
news.
technically movie length?
What?
Aren't all the seasons technically movie length?
Well, not really, because they're technically 11 minutes, Tiki. So it's well, I mean, I'm trying to think feature length or not. So it's. Oh yeah, we
Aren't
get.
they like all around like 2 hours or like an hour 40?
I mean, a little. Yeah, you're right. Hour 40. I guess that's about. Okay, fine. They are movie length, Mister.
Right.
I'm gonna pick everything apart.
So Dragon, I think we got a train to catch. Let's talk about Invincible Season 1.
Hey, see why we ordered them that way.
Yeah, I don't think this is a perfect show by any means. I really don't like the relationship drama stuff. I really think that stuff holds the show back. But Jesus effing Christ, if the violence and just J.K. Simmons isn't absolutely compelling.
Yes, Invincible Season 1. Kirkman absolutely dazzled me big time with this. He really did. I went into this very clean, this, which led to a really great adventure. I mean, just not knowing anything about the Invincible universe and the Invincible story. I think narratively it's brilliant. You're right, the relationship stuff definitely. That's like the one to me. Like that's the one ding on it. It's like, yeah, but everything else, though. I mean,
I will
simply
say
put,
this, Dragon. When was the last time, if ever, that we got a superhero story where the main character's parents' relationship drama was the most compelling part of the whole thing?
I mean, I'd be hard pressed to really
right?
for an example. But I mean, for me, simply put, we take a nice kid, make him a superhero, and we challenge his namesake, which is Invincible, by throwing everything we possibly can at this poor lad. Literally.
It's like Kick-Ass on steroids.
Yes. And of course with that twisted Kirkman flair to ground things. And I love that it's not just there to be like all Snyder, it's there just to ground it. Like, no, this is like Snyder with consequence.
Mm.
And of course, J.K. Simmons, I think he deserves an Emmy for he deserves more than Emmy. J.K. Simmons deserves an Emmy with a mustache for this role because he did such a great job. It's an amazing story. It's amazing from start to finish. That's what Invincible Season was. We'll get into more specifics once we can talk.
I'm going to tease you. I looked up some stuff. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, of course, but Dragon, I did look into some plot lines that might be coming up, and I want to tease one thing for you that's not a plot spoiler, but I think it'll get you. It's a particular character. So, Omni-Man's race?
Yes, the Viltrumites, yeah.
Yes. So the leader of the Viltrumites is a guy who has the splitting image of Freddie Mercury.
Oh my god. It's a whole legion of mustaches.
Yes, it's a splitting image of Freddie Mercury, Dragon.
I only know here's the thing. I know one. It's so funny. Now we've reached the end of the first season, and I went into this season wondering how far
I had to know what happened to Omni-Man, Dragon. I couldn't.
Well, Tiki, it's obvious it's not the last we're gonna see you.
No, obviously it's not the last we're going to see of him. Obviously, I need to know what happened next with him.
Anyway, so Claude, by the way, brings up Invincible got renewed for two more seasons, season 2 and 3, which thankfully was a no-brainer. Like, of course, how can you not renew this for at least one more season? But hopefully, because Invincible has.
I will say, I hope that Crutchman doesn't. I will say that I hope that. I really hope they don't make the same mistake with Walking Dead where they keep dragging it out.
Well, the smart money is there's just given how massive the Invincible kind of catalog is. I think they're just going to adapt the stories, and once they reach the end, perhaps then we'll see if there's a new story to tell. But again, we're long before we have to worry about it going beyond a certain point.
No, I'm saying Walking Dead is still behind the comics, but the thing about the Walking Dead in the comic is that, with the comic as a medium, you can kind of have like this ongoing, like kind of like at this point, decades long story. Doesn't really hold up so well with a TV show. I feel like with a TV show, it's a lot more finite. So I really hope that they actually pick an end point for the TV show itself and stick with it.
Let me put it to you this way. I know one thing. I can count on one hand the things I know about Invincible is like thumbing through just a few pages of what's going to come up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just glimpsing just one very, very base detail, I'd say there is at least an end point, at least a roundabout an end point in terms of how much you can point, whether it's the absolute ending or not, because I don't know what that is at issue 144 or not. But I got to tell you one thing, though. Going into the show, there was one other thing I glimpsed that was like, because it was controversial, I looked into it. One really dark thing, super dark thing happens in Invincible. And I went into the show thinking, yeah, they're definitely not going to do that in the first season. I don't even know how dark they're going to, because this is really dark. And just seeing how dark they went in the finale, it makes me wonder, oh God, they might actually go there.
At this point, Dragon, I don't think there's there's no punch that they can't pull in this show.
I mean, this was a pretty big punch, but you're right, though. Given what we did in that finale, it's like, oh, yeah, well, I mean, now we can do anything. We can do that. All right.
Okay.
But yeah, we got a spoiler cast, so we'll be talking about that at some point, presumably in May.
Indeed. So you checked out DuckTales Season 2.
Yes, I did. Yes. So now, of course, unfortunately, not when I was watching through it. I got to the end, and there was not a season 3 on Disney Plus, but now there is. You can probably bet on season 3, ideally being on my list next month. So I'll be able to finish it by then. But yeah, season 2. Season 2, season 2 of DuckTales, it's a little dodgy at the top, I think, just a little bit, but I think it picked up steam with the Della Duck episode of it all. So Della Duck, I think, was the really interesting part of the season. I basically the part I'm living for with this DuckTales reboot are is applying pathos to kind of the classic Disney staples. Like for example, Donald Duck specifically. I love legitimizing just the aspect of DuckTales of legitimizing the pathos of Donald Duck. Like that whole episode where we learn why Donald Duck's angry, kind of almost like a Hulk from Avengers sort of thing. Like that's great. We have kind of that TV trope we played season 2, just the whole like, oh, they just missed each other. Donald and Della getting back together. And it was so close. It was like just by a small margin. I thought he said lunch. He said launch. That sort of thing.
God.
And I did have a realization, though, I was watching season 2. As I kind of got through it, and I was kind of it dawned on me, especially after Della came back, and I was kind of invested in like the kids getting to know their mother again. I just kind of realized, like, oh no, I think I hate Ben Schwartz. I've been kind of inching towards that under my nose the whole time. Ned literally made a joke of it before I just kind of put in like, oh yeah, imagine if I did hate Ben Schwartz. Oh wait a minute. Wait, I hated him in that Avenue 9 show, unequivocally. Sorry. Yeah. Well, wait, no, not Adam Newman. I hated him in the Space Force show. He's in Space Force, and I despise him in that show. And I mean, I was saying nice things about him in that Sonic movie based on the trailers, but it's like outside, like, oh god, I don't, and this Dewey's not doing it for me at all. By season 2, it's like, oh god, I'm really sick of this guy. That Dream episode is where I drew the line. It's where I had the realization during like the whole, we're going into what's Webby's friend's name again, the magic one.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big Dewey fan, but I'm not going to sit you like I think the humor is subjective. So,
what's Webby's friend's name?
Lena.
Yeah, there you go, Lena. Yeah, that Lena episode's where I had the epiphany of just like, oh man, Dewey's little dream here. So I'm kind of learning, like, oh man, I don't like this character.
Yeah. I think he gets marginally less charming as he goes on, but I really liked him in season 1.
That's what I'm saying. That's season 1, Tiki. It didn't really dawn on me in that. I'm saying in season 2, it dawns on me, oh man, this guy's getting old real fast.
I
don't think it's going to get better for the sounds of your endorsement there.
I'm just saying, like, I think he kind of fades into the background a little bit more in season 3, so you might actually like that about him.
I mean, sure, but it's kind of like, given like season 1, there was an actual character. That was just like the guy saying his name all the time. That's really all his role is now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, also Glom Tales. That was great. That was a lot of fun. Like the whole, season 2 had a lot of fun episodes, a lot of fun ideas, like Scrooge's 87 cents madness, like the whole thing where someone has stolen 87 cents from the giant Scrooge McDuck vault, and he's losing it. And Louis becomes the richest duck in the world, and we get Lance Reddick as Lunaris. I mean, and the whole, of course, obviously the one thing I did watch before getting into season 2, the Darkwing Duck episode, which is amazing.
Sure.
So, season 2 was on the whole, it was pretty good. Again, there was a lot of great stuff. I'm looking forward to finishing up with season 3.
Season 3, Dragon really sticks to landing. I feel like I was Claude asked, what do you think of the cliffhanger at the end, Dragon?
God, I'm trying to remember what exactly the cliffhanger was, because I just remember like Lunaris was kind of ran away. Oh God,
I honestly don't remember what it was either.
Well, I'm terribly sorry, Claudia. It's just honestly I was just
jog our memory, Claude. What was it?
Yeah. There was a lot of TV this month too, Claudia. I'm sorry. It was just.
But no, Dragon. The final episode of DuckTales, Fowl, the reveal of Fowl.
Oh right, oh yeah, the whole the vultures with the bag is okay. Yeah, okay, I got you. Sorry, I'm a little again. I'm not. I'm not quite as following it week to week as this guy was, so I'm not.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
But yeah, that's an interesting reveal. Yeah, we're doing kind of like again, essentially what we're trying to do with the Thunderbolts and stuff like that. We're having like our big villain team up going on right now, and the fact that Vulture's been under Scrooge's nose all the time. That was a good reveal. I'm sure that's
this, Dragon. We do some great stuff with the Bradford character in season 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
Hey Tiki, before we move on, because I forgot to put this on the list, because we never really considered putting this on the list, but just real quick. You've gotten to the end of Batman the Animated Series, both that and New Adventure. You want to just kind of weigh in a little bit?
You know what? I'm not going to weigh in on the entire series because I haven't really digested it yet. But
that's why I guess that's why we didn't put it on the list or something. I don't know.
The new Batman Adventures, though, Dragon, that really fucking surprised me. It really did. I almost kind of made a running joke as we were building to it about how I was sort of dreading it. But in spite of a couple redesigns, obviously the Joker being the main one, and then the Riddler might be like an even worse redesign than the Joker was, but they don't use him too much, so it's fine. Outside of a couple redesigns, Drake, I really thought that the new Batman Adventures, hot take, it might be my favorite animated series season.
Really?
It might be. Because there's a lot of like because you know me, Dragon, like the fun of animated Batcave for me has been kind of like zeroing in on some of these like lesser known episodes that have a lot of rich context to them, and this season was just filled with those.
I see.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think the whole show is rock solid. I would say probably if I had to pick a least favorite season, it would probably be season 1, just because that season had some bangers in it for sure, but it was still kind of getting its bearings. We had like the Underdwellers and the the Sewer King and all that. Some clunkers in there along the way, but
you're saying on the whole, it lived up to the hype, though. The whole, the series as a whole, though.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, absolutely, and like I said, I'm just floored at how much it really stuck to landing as far as the new Batman Adventures is concerned. Because I just kind of like, stylistically, I always viewed that as like sort of like, oh, okay, it's like the lesser season. It's basically like kind of like like the later seasons of Dexter's Lab or something like that. And like no, not at all. I mean, it really holds up.
All right. Okay, so now, so let's get, so that's the stuff that we both have seen of each other's shows, so let's get to the stuff now a little bit more disparate and stuff we saw. So, Get Shorty Season 1. Tiki, I highly recommend this show to you. I mean,
really?
Time. You would love this show.
Where's it streaming?
Okay, well, it's on Amazon and Epic. So it was an Epic show, but they have some sort of deal, so you basically can watch it on Amazon now. I mean, it's
gotcha.
Yeah, so it's there, but it comes on Epics. I mean, if they have any new seasons, I don't know if it's just going to come on there.
No idea what the hell Epics is.
Yeah, Epics. It's kind of an Amazon knockoff that they.
Okay.
It's basically that's where the Pennyworth show comes on. So
Oh my God! Oh wow!
Which, by the way, little fun fact: the word is, I don't know how official this is. The word is HBO Max is looking into acquiring the Pennyworth show for some reason. Which I'm not caught up on season 2 yet. They went on break, which makes it even less appetizing. Why didn't they just keep it going? Why are they putting it on break? I'm watching this show because I'm nuts about Batman. That's the only reason I'm watching this show. Anyway, but yeah, Get Shorty though. Circling back. Yeah, Get Shorty. This so you remember how I watched the Get Shorty movie last month on Memoirs. So yes, of course I've been intending to get to the Get Shorty series in conjunction with this because the Get Shorty series features Chris O'Dowd and for you, Ray Romano. So essentially what they've done here is they're not adapting the movie, but they're adapting the book that the movie was based on as well.
Was Ray Romano in the movie?
No, he wasn't. No, see, Ray Romano is, now again, I want to be clear, they're not playing the same characters, it's the same archetypes. Ray Romano is like the Gene Hackman character. He's the Hollywood producer. So Ray Romano's the producer. He plays Rick Morweather. That's Ray Romano's character. Miles Daly is the Chris O'Dowd character. So it's the same premise of Get Shorty the book, but different characters. It's like there's no Chili Palmer, there's no Travolta character in place, but it's like the same occupation where Chris O'Dowd is a mob enforcer for like a Nevada casino. He's a mob enforcer. He collects the dues. And basically, it's the mob enforcer trying to break into Hollywood via a script that he finds from a debtor that he basically tries to use and get this made into a movie, basically become a producer. Now, the reason is really endearing. So the idea is that Chris O'Dowd is such an endearing, charming character. He's a leg breaker who's trying to get his ideal life, which is basically trying to get his wife, who he's separated from, not technically divorced, but separated from, and bond with his daughter, who he calls Shorty, because I believe he's, I think he's Irish, pretty much, yeah. So basically, he calls her Shorty, hence the whole Get Shorty. But I was doing all this to kind of be close to his daughter and trying to get into like a safer line of work by going from Nevada to LA, essentially. And he pitches this whole premise to the crime boss, Amara, his boss. He like, invest your money, your casino money, from ill-gotten gains, not the actual casinos themselves. Invest it into a movie as a producer, and that's how you launder your money. Very simple. And yeah, so again, he just has this script and he's trying to get it made, and you get to see like Hollywood life compared to like a leg breaker, kind of his approach to this. He's got a friend. There's a lot of fun there. And basically it leads to one mess after another. I won't spoil it for you because you really got to watch this. It's 10 episodes a pop, I think. I think it's less.
Kind of like a Barry vibe to it.
There's definitely shades of Barry.
Okay.
Shades of Barry is a lot of LA culture.
But it kind of sounds that way. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of Barry in there. Okay. And I think the third season's shorter than the other two, but they're like 10 episodes and then 6 episodes by the third. It's a lot of fun. I don't know if the pandemic interfered with the 6. I don't know. But it's fun, it's tense. Phil Lamar, actually, in the first season, as far as I've gotten so far. Phil Lamar, he has a really nice and eventually pivotal role by the end of the season. Phil Lamar, he plays the big studio head. He's really cool with him. Anyway, so it's again, it takes the Get Shorty skeleton and it really reconfigured it beautifully so far. As far as I'm at, I'm captivated by it.
I'll check it out.
Great. All right.
Okay, have you guys watched Big Shot? I don't know what that is, Claude. I'm sorry.
Okay. I know what this is. Big Shot is the. I haven't gotten to it yet, Claudia. I'm going to check out the first episode because we'll swamp this month because we have other surprise. We had other surprise projects that dropped in our lap this month. But Big Shot is the John Stamos basketball show on Disney Plus.
Oh my God! And that okay, that reminds me really quickly, Dragon. The reason I didn't put it on my list is because the season's not quite wrapped up yet. But I highly recommend Mighty Ducks Game Changers. I am charmed. Right. Mighty Ducks Game Changers charmed the heck out of me, Dragon. Again, I'm sorry. I really love the idea of Emilio Estevez being this. He's this like grizzled ex hockey player who hates hockey. He leases this ice rink out for anything but hockey. So it's mostly birthday parties and stuff like that. And Dragon, I love the idea that he goes around and every day for lunch he just has leftover kids' birthday cake. Like he just takes these giant like Despicable Me birthday cakes and stuff like that, and just like
the actual Despicable Me birthday cakes.
No, honestly, I really think you'd like it, Dragon. I know you're not a sports guy at all, and obviously, these kids are a bit younger, so it doesn't have like the high stakes of Cobra Kai. But I think it has some of the charm of Cobra Kai, Dragon. There is really a lot of Cobra Kai DNA in here. So,
well, maybe I won't make any promises, but
I would at least watch the first episode just for the Emilio of it all, and go from there.
Well, Emilio Estevez is technically the origin of Poncio, right?
Is it really?
Yeah, well, it's Emilio Estevez. It's an American Dad episode where he's basically hyping up. He does this thing where he goes Emilio for Emilio Estevez, and he did like a Mighty Ducks marathon. There's like a whole marathon of Mighty Ducks, and he just kept saying Emilio. That's where I get the Poncio.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Right.
So, you.
Yeah, and honestly, Claude, I don't have much thoughts on the episode with the original Mighty Ducks, because I might have seen the original movie like maybe once on the Disney Channel one time as a kid. So like I really honest to God, Dragon, the biggest nostalgia I have for the Mighty Ducks, and maybe you have this too, is that there was a trailer for D2 The Mighty Ducks Strike Back on the Nightmare Before Christmas VHS.
Got nothing.
Not ringing a bell, really?
I mean,
all the trailers on that damn VHS. Okay, Dragon. There was a Gargoyles trailer on that VHS.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just the fact of I think I do, but I just did not care about the sports of it all. I think it was on there. I just didn't want. Never registered with me, but I think it sounds familiar.
Fair enough. Okay.
So did not register with me. Like, it's hockey. Like I was thinking, oh my God, it's something really going on.
Oh my God! Technically, I think Angels in the Outfield was also on that VHS.
Oddly enough, I can get an Angels in the Outfield more.
All right.
It's got Christopher Lloyd.
I also checked out going from Mighty Ducks Game Changers to the medical marijuana world pre-legalization. We're talking Sasquatch.
I'm sorry. Did you want? I was imagining a Bigfoot show, Tiki.
Oh, it is a Bigfoot show at first. So here's the premise of Sasquatch Dragons. Just go with me on this. So essentially, this journalist is investigating a series of basically a murder, not a series of murders, but a specific murder that happened years ago in the Emerald Triangle of California. Now, Dragon, that is where basically it's where all the good weed grows. It's probably one of the best climates in the world to grow weed. I won't bore you with the scientific details on how, but it's way up in Northern California, and so essentially, Dragon, there was this urban legend in the Emerald Triangle about a group of weed farmers who were killed by a Sasquatch. And up in the Emerald Triangle, it is a very secluded area. like they're not really plugged into social media. It's deep in the woods, so a lot of times Wi-Fi doesn't even work up there. And so essentially this guy is kind of going into this Bigfoot territory, and he's starting to he wants to do an investigative piece on this Bigfoot murder. Like, oh my god, like these people actually believe that a Sasquatch like murdered these people. That's fucking crazy. And Dragon, very quickly I will say that the show really doesn't have all that much to do with Bigfoot. It really doesn't. But we do get an interview with the guy who was in the famous Bigfoot footage, Dragon. And I think that's really cool. But yeah, it quickly just goes into a story of the medical marijuana industry pre-legalization in California. And Dragon, it's just, what's crazy to me about it is someone who is pretty much immersed in that world now, post legalization. My God, have times changed? Like, it's just crazy, like how much like it gets really deep into the war on drugs of it all, and how paranoid everyone was, and just how ridiculously valuable these crops were, and how isolated these people were. Sasquatch really is just kind of like a metaphorical title that kind of like refers to like the looming fear of like your crop going bad or getting seized or getting stolen. Because Dragon, like these people, it's like they live crop to crop, and it's it's like a farmer except on steroids, right? Because it's like they could make millions of dollars off of a grow, but at the same time, if they lose it, and it's really easy to lose between getting stolen or getting ruined or getting seized by the government. Like if they lose that, then they're fucked for the year, financially speaking. So I'm not going to bore you with any more details, but I thought it was pretty compelling. I thought the Sasquatch of it all was kind of a bait and switch, but I did get into like, oh, okay, it's a documentary about the weed industry. I'm a Californian, I can get into this.
Roman, did you check it out because you knew because it was a Bigfoot show, or because you knew what it actually was?
Bigfoot show.
Okay, so you went just for the Bigfoot show.
I didn't even know it was set in California.
All right, okay, interesting. Okay.
All right. So speaking of crime shows, Dragon, this is a robbery, the world's biggest art heist.
Yes. So this was a 4-episode mini docuseries. It was on Netflix. So basically, this is a really interesting story. So in 1990, March 18th, so pretty much St. Patrick's Day, basically the party night of St. Patrick's Day. So you have St. Patrick's Day, and then everyone getting drunk and happy as the night drifts in the day, which would be the 18th, in the wee hours of the morning of the 18th. I believe I don't know if it's like Isabella Stewart or just let's just say the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston was robbed. And this was a very clever heist, as in you had 2 robbers dressed as cops with this brilliantly coordinated heist that basically let them walk through the museum and kind of take very valuable paintings. I want to say like 8 to 10 paintings were stolen in one night. And like not just like you smash and grab. I mean like artfully, just kind of artfully. They were just kind of taken, and just like in a foul swoop, and like they took their time with it, because again they picked the night that no one was going to notice. In Boston. Yeah, I'd say it's just kind of like it's kind of a well orchestrated robbery sort of thing. I'll admit the first half I think is more compelling than the latter half, because it's all about the heist and how they did it, and basically the second half is about who orchestrated and like where the paintings are, and the FBI's desperation for leads. But I gotta tell you, I think that's the tricky business of the unsolved crime genre of documentary. Where this is an unsolved crime, they have no solution. We have no essentially built-in ending, but it's still. Again, I think that first half was really engaging. Though the first half was engaging, and again, like Netflix compared to the the other kind of art gallery, kind of like not so much a heist, but more of like kind of a money thing. This was actually more of like oh my god, it's an actual crime that's happening.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't think it really like it outside maybe the first 2 episodes. So, yeah.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. I'm kind of hit or miss with true crime miniseries, as you know. I kind of prefer it to be just a movie, just a give me one documentary, you know.
Right.
All right, so Circle Season 2. I'm not gonna bore you with the details on this Dragon. This is a fucking train wreck. These people have no idea how to use hashtags for one. Because the whole idea of this show is that it's like people locked in an apartment building, but they can't communicate with each other. They can only communicate via a social media app. But Dragon, what really makes this whole thing fall apart? I was into it in season 1 just because it was new, and I was like, "Oh, this is an interesting social experiment." And I thought the casting was good, and I could kind of like just sort of go along with the cringe. I can't like Dragon. There's like whole conversations where they're just. It's the way that they use hashtags. All right, I'm just gonna say it now that I'm actively using hashtags on Twitter the right way. It just fucking drives me crazy because these people like be in the middle of conversations like you know, like, and they'll be like, because basically what they have to do, Dragon, is they have to like kind of like speak out everything that they say, but it gets translated into text. So you know, so it's like they're kind of like having text conversations with each other, and they can like open private messages, and you know, it's basically like a game of Big Brother played on Facebook, essentially.
And now you've lost me.
Yeah, all right. I'm not good. It's stupid. The interesting thing is that some people can come in and catfish is other people, and the most interesting thing about that was that Lance Bass's personal assistant came in posing as Lance Bass, and I thought that was fun. But kind of a step down from season 1, and I thought the way that they use hashtags is just super fucking annoying. So yeah, I'm not really into it. All right.
Right. Okay. Real quick, I was going to Claudie wants to talk about the Flintstones news. You heard about this?
Yeah, I did, and honestly, I'm more into it than most people are, just because I feel like the Flintstones is always kind of like vibed in. Sort of like it's always kind of like had one toe kind of dipped in the adult animation side of things.
Yeah, I am definitely intrigued. I would definitely check it out because I remember Seth MacFarlane was originally supposed to develop something. I don't think it's the same because she's talking. I think the one I don't know if this is confirmed now. Like her show would be called Bedrock or something. So, but Seth MacFarlane was originally supposed to develop a Flintstones, kind of an adult version of the Flintstones that just kind of like just kind of fell by the wayside as it went on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but again, it sounds like she might. I don't know if she's picking up exactly the same model they just kind of had on file. Like, well, hey, it was this side. The Flintstones have talked about development. We can't get MacFarlane because he's he's doing the Orville once. Hopefully that comes back. And yeah, so I mean, Elizabeth Banks. I don't know. I mean, there's talk of her voicing adult Pebbles. I'm very interested in adult Pebbles because one of my most positive Flintstone memories, oddly though, is the wedding movie of Pebbles. I Yabba Dabba Do. I got strong nostalgia for that. So the idea of the older Pebbles and Bam Bam, if you're going to do an adult Flintstones, well, the kids have aged up. That's your excuse. That's your in, adult Flintstones. I don't know. It could be interesting. I don't know how I feel about it until I see something, you know?
Sure.
In that regard, I would definitely check it out for like the long development of this. And of course, I always remember that Flintstones on the Rocks. You remember that, don't you?
Oh God! Oh, I remember that.
That's always
I have a ton of nostalgia.
I have nostalgia for that one too. But what I'm saying is, ever since Seth MacFarlane's thing was announced, my mind went to that. It's like, oh my God, that might be what we're looking at for like maybe that done right. So potentially, best case scenario, we end up with like something along the lines of Flintstones on the Rocks, but who knows?
All right. Okay. So let's see. So Dez, Dragon, what the hell is Dez?
Okay, so now we're entering the AMC part of the show.
Oh boy! All right.
All right. So this is going to bleed into the catch up as well. But so this month, by the end of the month, they had something called Watchathon. Now, Watchathon basically like everything but Paramount Plus. Unfortunately, Paramount Plus was available. Was kind of like available as like a free trial for about a week. So it just kind of dropped in my lap. I thought I was all done for both my series and my catch up and everything. I was all sealed up and done. And they're like, oh wait, here's stuff that has a ticking clock on it. You got to get that in unless you want to wait for the next one of these watch-a-thon things, which they drop so sporadically. It's like, oh boy. And I kind of realized, like, and I like this could add a V8 mode. Wait a minute. I know I'm looking at stars instantly, which is going to show up in the catch-up, but oh my God. I have AMC Plus, which has always been my undoing. I see these interesting teasers and trailers like, oh boy, I'd love to watch the show, but not just AMC, AMC Plus, which I don't have. But hey, AMC Plus allowed me, now that I had access to it for a week, I got to watch some shows I wanted to, which included Dez. So, Dez essentially, AMC has some sort of deal and arrangement with the BBC, and they distribute a lot of the BBC shows. And this was I wanted to say this one was exclusively AMC Plus, and it's 3 episodes. Like the BBC does things very much 3 parts, like one whole story. So they do things, and this was great, Tiki. This was really good. This is a story about Dennis Nilsson, who is played by David Tennant. David Tennant plays David Nilsson, who is a very scary killer. So basically, the whole thing is like you have the scarily honest killer who confesses so mirthlessly to his crimes. It's like imagine John Wayne Gacy, but just he walked into basically like there was like a call like, hey, we found skeletal remains, not in the house, just like around the house, and we investigated. Like he just the minute you press him, like yeah, I did it. And he just walks in there, and basically he's just very open and honest, but he's so mirthless. He's fuzzy on the details of the names and the faces, but he killed all these people without compunction. And it's based on a true story. It's all absolutely true. And it's just it kind of leads to this kind of mystery of like initially of like did he actually kill him, or is he a crazy confessor? Is that the sort of thing, or does he have a plan? Like all sorts of things kind of swirling about, and just Tennant is absolutely chilling and captivating. He and his opposite lead, Daniel Mays. Both of them were on Good Omens. They never shared a scene together really, but they were on Good Omens. Like Daniel Mays plays the father of the Antichrist on Good Omens, and he plays the detective Peter J. And again, it's really good. It's very clever. Basically, the Brits, they're very clever and by the book with the police work, which is kind of what the showcase is with Peter J. And you see the drain on one man just trying to nail this guy, even though he's like giving them everything they could possibly need, but proving it is another matter entirely. And just trying to get justice for the forgotten victims, which is why Nilsson was so successful. He kind of went after the forgotten people, the people that were abandoned by families and society and everything. And there's like a biographer in there too, like it kind of comments on serial culture. It's like there's a lot of good stuff there. So just absolutely BBC and AMC, this partnership is turning out some stellar work. I highly recommend Dez. Dez was good.
Okay, well, you know what wasn't good, Dragon?
What wasn't good, Tiki?
Feed the Beast.
Feed the Beast.
Oh God, fuck this show. So this is a David Schwimmer drama about 2 best friends who are culinary experts who open a restaurant in New York City and all the drama that goes into it. Now, Dragon, honestly, I was totally sold on that premise because I am actually in a Facebook friend group for the local restaurant scene in my hometown, and my God, it gets vicious and dramatic and fucking catty. And so like I know like in real life there's plenty of drama to pull from in this world, let alone the cutthroat world of fine dining in New York City. But Dragon, here's the problem. They insert this mob storyline that just makes the whole thing feel just lazy and cliche and fucking just super predictable. And the whole thing really falls apart when it really should have just focused more on like the actual ins and outs of the drama of running a business and not just like, ooh, we've got this big scary mob guy that's literally called the Tooth Fairy. Breathing down their necks about profit margins and whatnot. I'm like, profit margins are, you don't need a mob guy breathing down your neck about profit margins. Profit margins are stressful on their own. And on top of that, Dragon, you know how David Schwimmer is very well known for being mopey about relationship drama?
Yeah.
Well, in this episode, he's mopey about his dead wife, but it's an exact same kind of David Schwimmer mopiness.
She didn't get on the plane.
Oh, my wife's dead. I can't get over it. My son is mute now, and he's 10 years old. And we're just trying to live our lives, and I'm bad at relationships, and I'm a day drunk who uses the fact that I'm a wine critic as an excuse.
Right now, somewhere David Schwimmer's going, hey.
But the moment, and David Schwimmer's best friend, the co-lead is Dragon. It's really fucking weird casting. It's the guy from Across the Universe, which is the Julie Taymor Beatles musical, and he's very British. And in this show, they tried to make him very New York. The accent doesn't work whatsoever. Like, not even remotely. And so the series begins with him getting out of prison, and then him and his sexy lawyer go into the prison restroom and just instantly have sex. And I'm just like, oh, fuck! This show is like not even remotely interested in being realistic. Yeah, I kind of hated this Dragon. I really did. I kind of watched it.
So basically, what my big takeaway from all this is that Tiki should have spent his time watching The People versus O.J. Simpson if he wanted compelling Schwimmer.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, last of the AMC shows, and there's going to be one more. Quiz. So this is one Tiki this is one you really got to watch. This one suits your sensibilities like a glove.
Okay.
Another OJ reference. Okay, so yet again, a BBC AMC. This is like an AMC event where it aired on AMC like once, and then basically went to Plus. So that's why I was never able to watch it beforehand. I wanted to watch this because my boy's in it. Michael Sheen's in this. He plays the game show host. So essentially, this adapts a play which is based on true story, which is about the origins. This was a great education for me on the origins of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which I did not expect.
Oh, really?
So apparently, I'm pretty sure that's what the whole show is going to predicate on, is that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire started in the UK before it was at the US.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah,
I did not know that, but yeah, that's kind of what they kind of gives you an education.
Survivor did as well.
Sure. And that's really interesting. Like,
and Big Brother, but Big Brother's an entirely different format in the UK. But I digress. I'm sorry.
Anyway, but that's the thing. So you have 3 episodes, and episode 1 is pretty much the invention of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, is the UK sensation that it is. And there's a framing device of essentially a couple. One of the early, like not the very. I'm pretty sure it's given like how the events of the show unfold. Not the first millionaire winner, but the second millionaire winner ever on the show. Mm-hmm. Whoever got to the full million is basically, they're called out for like that they cheated, and it kind of raises the moral question, like, did they cheat? Because like what's the thin line between overly prepared versus cheating? And that's kind of what the show gets into, and that's kind of what they're on trial. So the framing device,
I'm sold. I'm gonna check this out.
That's the framing device. They're on trial for like famously cheating. There's a big thing.
The trial's the framing device.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me get this straight. This is a biopic about a game show, and it's based on a play, and the trial's a framing device. Yeah, yes. Holy shit, this is absolutely
right. I told you. And Michael Sheen plays the Chris Tarrant, who basically was the pre-Regis Philbin. He was like the prototype. The very original. He's great too. They made him up to look just like the guy, and now he's doing like a voice and everything. Looks just anyway. So, but yeah, plus there's a big thing to get. I won't tell you what. There's like a big reveal. It's like, oh my god, that makes so much sense. Why we haven't heard about this thing? It's like a great reveal. Like, why did no one ever hear about this? It's like, yes, that's why. So it's
Survivor actually had a major lawsuit in its first season for production rigging too.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the thing. Like, this is Millionaire at its height. So at the time this whole thing happens, this is when Millionaire is procured, and like it's in the States at this point. So this isn't just like a little thing like, oh, we're like live and learn. It's like, no, we're bigger. We're at the height of it all right now. At the height of our powers, one could say.
Dragon, I have as I kind of told you when I when I watched the Kimmel version of Millionaire, I have some mad nostalgia for the early days of Regis Millionaire. I mean, just the energy levels for that show and the production design and the music, it's just all off the charts. Like at the time, it was ahead of its time. All right.
Absolutely. But seriously, T, you love this, man.
I believe it. I believe it. Okay, so next up we have a show. Like I checked out the first episode of it, Dragon. And I got to admit, I wasn't crazy about it just because I've seen this kind of subject matter handled in more interesting documentaries. But oddly enough, an E documentary way back in the day handled the Exorcist, the Curse of the Exorcist stuff, like more interesting.
Well, no, I've seen that.
Yeah, but still, this was Cursed Films, Dragon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we keep forgetting to mention the shows at the top too.
You're right.
So this is Cursed Films, which is basically it's AMC. I assume AMC has a deal with Shudder, hence the basically you go under AMC and they have like Plus and then Shudder and Sundance and stuff like that. So yeah, this is this is a Shudder show from 2020 that I believe got renewed for a second season. Basically, it's 5 episodes, each episode a different examination of the old Hollywood curse rumor within a film. So like I'm going to list them out. So we don't have to go through them all, but there's The Exorcist, there's The Omen, there's Poltergeist, there's The Crow, and then there's the Twilight Zone movie.
All very interesting stories in their own right.
Absolutely. I thought this was great, by the way. This had great production values. You have some great exploration of like the behind the scenes, like talking to the cast and everything. I will say this, though. I think the failing of the show is sometimes the special guest, they're either hit or miss sometimes. And that there's like, not a framing device, but they have like a pool of like, okay, so The Exorcist, we bring in like a priest to talk about actual exorcisms. And we do this silly thing where he's actually doing exorcist on people and we get to see it happen. I think it's dumb.
I remember that in episode 1, and that's kind of one of the things that sort of turned me off.
But Tiki, just take my word for it, is that the episodes are dependent on the movie themselves, and I think so, depending on the movie, it's going to be better. Your experience might be better. So, for example, for me, I think The Omen actually is cursed to have the whole bunch. I got to be honest. Here's why. Let me tell you why. I'm not really a superstitious type. I mean, extensively so, but let me tell you why. So, a plane. As they were filming this, Gregory Peck gets on a plane struck by lightning. Okay, that's already a 1,000,000 to 1 shot, right? That's a coincidence. You can't say curse on that. But then it happens again to another guy on the production getting on a plane. Mm-hmm. And then there's apparently the plane that Gregory Peck did not get on because he missed it, or like along the line someone missed the plane. That plane struck by lightning and crashed. Oh my! And not just crashed. Okay, this is why I buy into the curse. Okay, crashed, and I don't know if it was like the plane that was full on destroyed, but basically, as it made an emergency landing, it crashed into stuff. It hit a pickup truck, and in that pickup truck were the pilot's family.
Oh, wow! Holy shit!
That's why I believe The Omen actually might have been cursed. And there's like there was a
747 down over Albuquerque. Shit.
I know 737, but yes, and yeah, you had that. There's like a decapitation, like on a road that was 666, and there's like a mauling at a zoo. Oh, wow. Like I'm starting to legitimately believe that The Omen actually might have been cursed. But stuff like Poltergeist, but the Crow. Here's what I'm saying: the frame device actually worked, though. Like if I'm just calling it that at this point. The Crow, they demonstrated. They had a firearms expert demonstrator, an effects guy demonstrate how Brandon Lee died, where they had like the jammed round, so it shows you like through like a cushion or a dummy or something that. Okay, well, listen, we have like the jammed round, so it shows you exactly. Oh my God, that's how this happened. That's very tragic. Now, speaking of tragic. The most heartbreaking must-watch episode. I mean, for you might. I don't know if you have the constitution for this, Tiki, but you know what happens. So, but the Twilight Zone, the movie.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that's the one I'm most interested in. Actually,
it is, Tiki. That's the most emotionally gobsmacking of the bunch. It's Tiki. It's
I know it ruined Landis.
I know. It's like the Twilight Zone incident. So it's really well documented with the way they approach the episode. It's so tragic. We need to lighten things up. We need Lloyd Kaufman from Trauma in a dress. We put him in a dress to lighten things up. Basically, he was doing a movie where I guess he was just dressed in drag, like amongst many other. The trauma films are a little silly and violent. That's the whole idea. Anyway, so the point being, we have Kane Hodder to legitimize things. He's talking about like how stunts can go wrong, of course. But beyond that, you have just like Lloyd Kaufman, just like to lighten things up, and the guy who just got me in the heart, man, Richard Sawyer, the production designer who built the set. When they play the helicopter footage, I won't fully tell you what happens. So they play the infamous helicopter footage. I forgot, like, oh my God, they had it in detail, man. Sawyer framed it in such a way. He basically mentioned one detail that just like chilled me to my bone of like, oh my God. It's like,
Oh, wow.
You see that footage and you hear the instant, but you've never heard it just like after seeing it, just like him mentioning that detail of like, oh my God. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Of course, this would have happened, but just hearing it said like that, seeing the lead up and everything, it's like, oh my God, it's the most chilling it's utterly chilling. That was like the biggest takeaway I had from cursed films. Like, oh my God, some of these again could be a little out there, like The Exorcist of it all could be like, oh my God, there actually are cursed films with The Omen. And then like, oh my God, this is like Twilight Zone movie. That was not a curse. That was an utter tragedy. But that was not a curse.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway.
Okay. All right, Dragon, I suggest because Claude has been waiting patiently for us to get to this, can we just swap the next two that we have?
You want to start with the basic like left to right on this one?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so April 2021, Arlo the Alligator Boy. Before Mitchells and the Machines came out, I was raving about this, and I still really like this, Dragon. I really, really do like this a lot. It's a simple movie for sure, but it kind of brought me back to to kind of like old school, like late 80s, early 90s sort of animated road movies. Kind of had like a Cats Don't Dance vibe for me a little bit. The main character of Arlo was super duper charming. I will admit that the supporting characters are pretty one note for sure. Outside of I think the oh God,
well, give me something, Tiki.
Birdie.
Yeah, Birdie.
Yeah, she's great. But outside of her, I really don't think many of the supporting characters like teeny tiny Tony. He's great too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Tony Hale, he was great.
Yeah, But I think the songs slap. I really do. Like the songs are a tiny bit generic, but they're earworms, man. They are goddamn earworms.
That's a fun fact.
I don't know. I just think the movie's just a very nice, very pleasant little affair. Kind of brought me back to a time when animated movies were a little bit more simple.
A fun fact that Claude points out here, and yes, I heard about this too, that the movie is kind of serving as a pilot for the upcoming Netflix series, I Heart Arlo.
I got to admit, that is also kind of like one of the reasons where I'm a little cynical on it.
Cynical in that it wasn't just something to stand on its own.
Yeah, the songs are absolutely the best part for me. The songs and the character designs. I really love the character designs.
Yeah, it's a charming little film, no question. I love how the supporting cast are like I love how weird they are. It's kind of like very disparate. Again, like the Birdie, the heart of the film is Birdie and Arlo's dynamic for sure. It's truly like kind of the heart of the film. They have some fun stuff like Brett Gelman as as the weird fish guy. I
didn't care for him. He felt very out of place to me, Dragon. It's like they just randomly pulled like a SpongeBob background character.
I don't know. There's just something kind of funny about him. I'm not saying it works great, but it's just like we basically put him in there for the plot of he needs somewhere to go, but it's like just kind of
right.
There. But,
right.
He has that nice moment at the campfire though, where he thanks Arlo. That's kind of nice though. But of course, for me, I really loved Annie Potts at the top of this. Annie Potts.
I knew you would. I knew you would.
Man, I'm a sucker for Annie Potts for many reasons. I mean, right now she's killing on Young Sheldon, even as that show's kind of drifting down after the first season. But it's like Annie Potts is wonderful. So she was great. I get that a little overly musical in places. I know it's a musical show. I mean, the Cats Don't Dance analogy is perfect, by the way. That's really what the thing is.
Thank you.
But it's
the plot is very similar to the Muppet movie.
I mean, kind of. But
think about it.
I mean, yes, in
A
that
band
we're
of misfits on a road trip to somewhere, on a road trip to a big city, and they're being pursued by hillbilly crazy people who want to turn the main character into a franchise type thing.
okay, fair enough. Fair, but at the end, the reason I can't, the reason I'm hesitating signing off on the Muppet movie thing is the third acts were very different.
Uh-huh. You're not
But I
wrong.
mean, at the end of the day, for me, it's a little overly musical in places, but it's nice. That's a nice movie. I'm not head over heels like the other movie we're going to be talking about in terms of the animated Netflix stuff. But it was nice.
Yeah. I Beyond These Walls, I really, out of all the songs, I'm really pulling for that one. I truly think some of these songs are Oscar worthy for me. Maybe there's a little too many of them, but I don't know. I think
That's just my taste. Like, don't take that against the movie. It's just my taste. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the first three in particular were just all three of those were just freaking great. Like the introductory song from Arlo, Beyond These Walls, and then God, I'm sorry. I'm
the song
blanking.
I get a song that stuck out to me. I can't remember the name of it, but the song with the father.
That was good. That was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Follow Me Home is the other one I was thinking of, the birdie song on the beach. Okay, anyways. So Mortal Kombat! Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just doing the theme with you.
Oh boy. Did you see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I told you about it. Yeah.
I was it's a video game movie.
That's really all you're gonna say.
It is what it is, man. I don't know.
Okay,
I'm waiting for one of these to be really good, and it really hasn't happened yet.
Well, technically,
Sonic the Hedgehog was the closest, but even then, it's like, did they really have to do the, like they have the Sonic world right, and they pull him into New Mexico of all things for most of the movie.
Hey, I don't want you bad mouthing New Mexico. But let me.
I'm bad mouthing New Mexico in a Thor way, not a Breaking Bad way.
All right. Anyway, so it's called enchantment for a reason. Anyway, your silliness aside, if you want to be that, if you want me to be that guy, well, technically, Assault on Arkham was kind of based on the Arkham game, so that was a good video game movie.
And that was also not theatrical, so
yeah. Well, there goes that balloon. Anyway, so Mortal Kombat, though. I'm very unfamiliar with Mortal Kombat. Let me explain my only experience to Mortal Kombat, my own exposure to Mortal Kombat. Okay, there was one video game. It was a crossover, DC versus Mortal Kombat. That's the extent of my knowledge. So I am absolutely the general audience target demographic in terms of the general audience for this film that I'm mildly interested by. Oh yeah, I'm vaguely familiar with Mortal Kombat. I mean, I gave it a shot. But let me put it this way: if it were not on HBO Max, I would not have gone out of my way to see this thing. But it was, so I saw it. I thought it was okay. I thought it was an honest stab from just being on the periphery. I think it was an honest stab at with it seemed like it had reverence for the game. I got that vibe. I'll tell you this: just simplicity, not knowing anything, not having an expectation, just. It sold me on why Scorpion and Sub-Zero hate each other with the opening, with the introduction. I thought that was a solid introduction.
They did get that right in terms of like, all right, you know what? Like that's the most basic thing you can do with Mortal Kombat. And there you go. It's pretty streamlined in that regard.
Yeah, that and Kano was fun.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they got the laser eye.
My big problem was I feel like there was too much exposition, but
sure, and so all the little fun fact: Louis Tan, he plays the biggest thing people are up in arms about. By the way, the deep cut Mortal Kombat fans, they hate the fact the main character is not from the game. So Cole Young, Louis Tan, the young man who's like the POV character, that guy. Fans really hated that. He was Shatterstar in Deadpool 2. He was the guy who met an end at the helicopter blades.
Oh God!
So it was kind of neat to see him. I just like, hey, we gave that young man a shot. Isn't that nice? We gave him a shot. And you know what? I like the whole tie into
Claude's question. Mortal Kombat, no question.
Well, all right. No, you're right, Rez. I
We're
misread the
comparing
question.
the two. I'm just saying.
See, I read that too fast first. Said, which is better? And I thought, what are you talking about? Which is better? Like, actually, of course. Oh, God. Yes, Tiki's right, 100%. Yeah. Dear God, yeah. That's why you read things, kids. So, okay. But here's the thing. I'm not... Tell me this. Did you think we got the tournament at the end of this movie, or did we circumvent the tournament? Because I think it's kind of a big problem if, like, we build up the big tournament, we don't do it in the movie.
Well, no, that was my big problem with the whole movie, with the exposition. It's like, okay, like, again, they got the Scorpion versus Sub-Zero thing right. They didn't really get the fighting thing right.
I mean, assuming, if I'm just taking it at face value here, it's like, hey, we prevented that tournament because they were cheating. They went against the rules. Like, hey, we're going to take them out so we just de facto win the tournament. Well, why didn't we do the tournament? You know, why did we go out of our way not to do things above board? If you're so confident you guys have the best fighters, you know, if you've won like 8 out of the 9, what are you worried about?
Sure.
So I mean, to be fair, I think the thing the movie had going for, I think everyone's like kind of like saying that was the best part of the movie. The fatalities were very on brand. There were some cool kills.
Oh yeah.
And also, I mean, the only reason I would watch the second Mortal Kombat, and again, if they don't do an HBO Max thing, which I don't think they will, is given all the bad press within the film community. Ryan, if there's a word that they're going to cast Ryan Reynolds as the big setup character at the end, the Johnny Cage Hollywood fighter guy.
Mm-hmm.
So if Ryan Reynolds plays that guy, that'll have my interest. Like, okay, well now I gotta see it.
We know when Free Guy's coming out, by the way.
Last I checked, assuming they don't move it again, should be June.
June, okay.
Last I heard, I'm hoping that remains the same, but
well, that's right around the corner, so I hope they start marketing it.
I really want to see Free Guy so much.
All right, let's.
Oh wait, August.
Oh, okay. That sounds a bit more reasonable for the marketing. All right. So next up, Mitchell's versus the Machines. Dragon, since when did Sony Pictures Animation become the game changers in the animation industry?
Since Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I guess, right? That's a very easy.
I mean, for us, it's Stork, but, you know.
No, this is incredible. Like, I mean, Spider-Verse was Dragon. Spider-Verse is objectively probably a better movie. I'm not gonna lie, but I honestly think this might be even more impressive as far as like Spider-Verse had everything going for it from a conceptual level, right? Like it had all the cards on the table. Like it was perfectly lined up to knock it out of the park with the Phil Lord and Chris Miller, the multiverse of it all. It's a comic book movie. But this, on the other hand, I really was not sold on any of what this movie was throwing out in the marketing at all. I gotta tell you,
back in the Connected days before they changed the title.
Yeah, like I really was like, even with the Phil Lord and Chris Miller, I was just like, all right, well, I'm not really a big fan of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and this kind of feels like maybe they're going back into that direction. But honestly, Drag, what blows my mind about this movie is that it fucking knocks it out of the park in spite of being a lot of what we've already seen before, like the road trip movie, the anti-technology movie, the father-daughter bonding movie. There's so many elements of this movie that are kind of like sort of recycled from other animated movies, but it all comes together in such a fucking glorious way. I mean, I really think this is this is easily my favorite movie of 2021 so far. It's not even close, but yeah, God, we really knocked this one out of the park.
Right, Sony's doing right with their animation these days. No question. That seems to be the one thing they are doing right at the moment. But yeah, it's a lot better than I expected, because again, that trailer basically it had me with the family thing, and then the real robot apocalypse thing. Oh well, there we go. That's in just the marketing of that initial Connected trailer. But I gotta tell you, I was afraid it was going to supersede story, and thankfully it didn't. It didn't. It was fundamentally a father-daughter story, and then broadening into the family, and then kind of we use technology as sort of like this the metaphor for what prevents and could also unite family in kind of a different lens, a different way of looking at things, which is pretty much the story. We make the imperfect family, and we take the imperfect family, put in the position of saving the world, which is such kind of a fun uphill battle. It's this really delivered much more than I expected it to. So this was good. It was very good.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing a full podcast on it very soon. So stay tuned for that.
All right.
All right. Let's see what's up next. We have
Documentary.
Why did you kill me? Right? Why'd you do it, Dragon? This is
what did you do to my boy?
This is honestly kind of what I'm talking about in regards to like I sort of prefer true crime to be like this rather than spread out. Like I don't know about you. I like this is certainly not like an American Murder levels of like master true crime documentary, but I like this a lot though. I was pretty compelled by this.
Yeah, I think it's a very solid true crime doc. It's has a great opening cell with the whole "Why did you kill me?" kind of like text on the frame. Seeing it kind of unfold before our eyes on the screen. So the framing device, very searching-esque, or more accurately, what very much is American Murder, kind of how that starts with the whole found footage. Just at the top with the whole seeing the exchanges. But yeah, it's no American Murder, but it's nice to see Netflix experimenting in that format, though. I think that's the big takeaway. They're experimenting in kind of long form format and also sort of like kind of an archival sort of framing device thing. So that's that's interesting. Of course, centers around the tragic death of a young woman in 2006, and her mother basically making the girl's name is Crystal, I believe. So the mother making efforts to catch her killer using MySpace, which is an interesting uphill battle of its own. I gotta tell you though, the ending utterly breaks my heart. The text at the end of our documentary here, that sentencing, just crushes me.
Yeah, it's a rough story for
Basically,
sure.
we put a number on a human life. That's just despicable to me. We call it a life sentence for a reason, kids, and we did not get that.
Sure.
But yeah, it was good. Just no American Murder. But again, who can be?
All right. Okay, so next up. Oh, sweet Jesus!
You're tearing me apart.
Separation, Dragon. This is a shitty horror movie about a father who creates a creepy ass puppet to help his daughter cope with the loss of his wife. Sweet Jesus, Dragon. What is it this month about terrible things and like the theme of dead parents and widows? What is it, Dragon? Or widowers, I should say. So basically this creepy puppet is supposed to like represent the mother, and it just gets possessed, and like the mother's possessing the creepy puppet, but it's not scary at all. It's lame. It reminded me a lot of like something like Winchester. I don't know, Dragon. I got to admit, like Shudder has kind of spoiled me because like the last couple horror movies that I actually saw in theaters, I really have not been vibing with, and I used to really love the horror movie experience. I don't know. I honestly think that there's better stuff on Shudder now than there is in the like. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm stoked for A Quiet Place Part 2. Like that is like probably. I'm pretty sure that's coming out. I don't know if it's coming out this month or next month. It's coming out soon.
I don't think it's this month.
I don't think so either, but it's coming soon. But yeah, this was not a great entry into the horror canon for me as a horror fan. It's pretty damn lame.
Yeah.
All right.
So speaking of unsatisfying endings, so yeah, we both kind of clunkers.
Yeah.
So I have Thunder Force.
I knew this would be a clunker. I knew to stay away from this one.
Okay, so this is Thunder Force. Okay, so this is Melissa McCarthy in a superhero comedy, directed by her husband Ben Falcone. Or Ben Fal, yeah, it's Falcone. Yeah. Ben Falcone.
Quote to quote Kevin, or to quote, I'm sorry, to quote Bubsy Bobcat, what could possibly go wrong?
So here's my logic here. Okay, I really enjoyed Super Intelligence, but I still recommend to you, by the way, the HBO Max.
Dragon, if I ever I'm honestly waiting to get sick to watch that movie because that just seems like a perfect sick day movie.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It's like, all right, like I don't want to like actively think about anything. I want to just turn my brain off. What can I do? James Corden is an AI. All right.
It's like Here's the thing: not counting the movies that Melissa McCarthy just kind of appeared in, like Saint Vincent, for example. That's a great movie. Not counting that, Melissa McCarthy movies, like movies that feature her in the starring role. Superintelligence is the only good one.
Yeah, I thought Spy was like okay.
I mean, that's what let me put it this way. All the Melissa McCarthy movies that are strictly her have the same fault. This, even Superintelligence, but to a far, far lesser degree comparatively. It's always, and the downfall of this movie as well is we got to edit McCarthy's improvising big time.
Oh, God, yes. Oh, my God.
That's always, that's her kryptonite. And you know what? That's not helping having her husband in the director's chair, not editing her.
Nope.
It's not helping. But again, at least Superintelligence, there's stuff that I can glom onto a story. There's a heart to the story. But anyway, I don't want to just turn us all to the rehash of Superintelligence. Watch it. But Tiki, not even Octavia Spencer can save this. You know?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I can see a clunker when I see it, Dragon, and I need to avoid it.
There is one aspect you would like to check out, though. One aspect.
Okay.
Okay, so again, the premise pretty much in 1983, a meteor hit with cosmic rays, and just for some bizarre story reason, only targeted sociopaths and like miscreants and gave them superpowers. Basically, creates supervillains before the heroes. Hence, how we get two superheroes versus others that would do a far better job than Melissa McCarthy. That's the idea. So, anyway, so I can invest in the young, Melissa McCarthy and young Octavia Spencer before we actually get them full grown, basically them playing themselves. Like we see like the flashbacks and like Octavia Spencer lost her parents, and there's like a good story there. That's the only inkling of a good story you're gonna have in the movie. But here's the part you'd like.
Okay.
So Jason Bateman's in this movie.
Okay.
And Jason Bateman has a really fun part. He plays the crab, which is a very tick-like henchman.
That does sound like a very tick-like henchman.
It's Jason Bateman just as he is, just with crab arms. And the best jokes in the movie. I mean, I'm not counting the food.
That sounds so quaint.
Let me be clear, okay? With the exception of the gross food runner, the gross food runner in the movie is that Melissa McCarthy, because of she has enhanced strength. Octavia Spencer is invisible. It's her invisibility. To maintain her strength, she can only eat raw chicken, which is ich. It's weird, and it's throughout the whole movie. So basically, before the raw chicken comes into play with the Jason Bateman thing, before any of that, just Jason Bateman has the best jokes in the movie. We're like, yeah, like he's the henchman to the big bad guy, which is Bobby Cannavale, who's also in Superintelligence and also far better in Superintelligence. I'll still bring that up. He plays the King, really generic name, but there's a lot of henchman gags, a lot of really funny henchman gags where like he's going. It's like the whole we killed the indiscriminate henchman. Just Jason Bateman points that out hilariously. Well, you killed Kenny, so that's why he's not there anymore, because you just had to kill someone to establish dominance. But it's okay. It's just Jason Bateman doing what he does best. So that's good. But again, it just does not have like the elements I could invest in with something else like Superintelligence. So it's got nothing. That's a movie where it has some. This is not that movie. So there we go. Thunder Force, I'd avoid it with the exception of Jason Bateman.
Okay, fair enough. And finally, we have reached catch up. Okay.
All right.
So the father,
keep it vague.
Yeah, I was pretty blown away by this. Like, it was a tough movie to watch for sure. Like, I was not wrong about that. I was very apprehensive going into it. But all I'm gonna say about it, Dragon, is that Anthony Hopkins, it's the performance of his career. It really is.
That is good to hear.
It's pretty damn mind blowing what he's able to pull off with this performance, Dragon. And like I said, I would really compare his performance to something like Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood. Like, it's just that transformative. I mean, it's like, it's obviously Anthony Hopkins, but like he just disappears into the role. Like, you really just and as far as like the production design and editing and everything goes, Dragon, I mean, it is like it pulls off some Nolan-esque levels of just like kind of like playing around with time and playing around with perception.
Does it do like a memory thing like in the editing?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh,
definitely.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it really plays around with it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So and Olivia Colman, I'm not as crazy about Olivia Colman as some people are, like, but she definitely does a great job, and there's some heartbreaking stuff with her. So yeah, just overall, it's a devastating movie, but it's like, I got to be honest with you, Dragon. If I was voting in the Academy Awards, I'd be very hard pressed to not vote for Hopkins, in spite of the situation with Chadwick.
Yep.
All right.
It was a tough call, folks. Two really good performances, it sounds like.
And I honestly, Dragon, I think what solidifies the Hopkins win for me, in spite of it just being, like a really transformative performance, is the fact that I think the movie itself is a far better movie.
That probably helps it too. Sure. Ma Rainey's Black Bottoms has a really iffy ending for me, but that's just me.
Yeah.
All right.
I like the tension of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
I mean, yeah, the tension's great. Yeah.
The model episode quality of it, but
the tension and the performances are stellar. But just what we do to a man over a certain item is just kind of silly. But right. So, Dread.
Yes, I'm honestly kind of surprised you'd never seen this before.
Yeah, no, I always kind of meant to. It just kind of slipped by the wayside, in lieu, I've been meaning to get to it, so I finally did. Again, this was before I got the whole watch-a-thon thing, so it was like my plan is really simple. I was starting with Dread and just going to see what happens beyond that. Then everything dropped in my lap. So, so Dread 2012. This came out in 2012. This was the Judge Dredd remake with Carl Urban. Of course, been killing it with The Boys.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember the big San Diego Comic-Con buzz years ago with this?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, they premiered this at San Diego Comic-Con. I imagine they did in 3D because that was all the rage, especially then.
The fan community at large went fucking nuts for this movie.
Yeah. I don't know what the reason. I don't know what the reason was, but like the MCU, like Avengers comes out in 2012. Yet, when this happens, I don't know if this it had to be at the Comic-Con the year it came out, because that's when it premiered there. So I'm assuming it's 2012, but I don't know if like Marvel didn't show up that year or something happened because they put everything into 2011 to announcing the Avengers. I'm not sure.
Right, and I just think that this stole the show.
Sure. So yeah, this is a vast improvement from the Stallone film. Has some weird eccentricities, I'll admit, a few places. But I love the plot. I love the premise. It's kind of a day in the life, and just kind of a sort of a it's a day in the life, and kind of a ride along sort of situation as Dredd breaks in and evaluates a rookie with psychic abilities. It's pretty simple. And again, it's what you want from a Judge Dredd story. Where he doesn't take the stupid helmet off. You don't want that. That's a Stallone movie, not a Judge Dredd movie. He never takes off the helmet. Never. It's like Mando before Mando.
Right.
And have the stationary location, the 200-story apartment complex tower. Like, that's great. Lena Headey's a little iffy. I think she's doing.
Oh, I agree. I'm not crazy about her performance. I think it's a little over the top.
So that's the thing of the movie. Overall, just keep it simple. Is that I love the premise. The premise is genius, and I like Carl Urban. I think he does phenomenal in the film. Again, his co-star as well. But it's just because they switched her out. By the way, Lena Headey was not the original choice. They're going to do something really different. They kind of ended up with her, and I think she did the best she could. I guess
I could see a Carrie Ann Moss in that role.
Sure. And the style is the weird thing of the movie for me. Like we made some stylistic choices, and like we kind of doubled down. Like had like a really CG car chase we didn't need at the start of it, and something like the slow mo drug. This is what I was alluding to with the whole Zack Snyder thing, Tiki. By the way, so this is what Zack Snyder's on 24/7. The slow mo drug.
Totally.
Yeah, the slow mo drug
Oh
was
my
like the
God.
big. The slow mo drug was like the big 3D kind of draw of the film. Was that when we do the slow mo, everything's gonna look awesome. It's like flying through the air, like we're shooting people in slow mo, and
Oh,
you know
that
that
is
sort
so
of stuff,
accurate.
right?
It's just how Snyder views the world.
Exactly. He's high on the slow mo drug,
God.
24/7,
All right.
and he's basically giving people that experience on film. But yeah, so it's again, it was a prop. I think this was a proper foot in the door for Judge Dredd, and it would have been interesting to see more of this, maybe like a little fine tuned story wise here and there. But yeah, it was a phenomenal stab at Dredd. It's a shame we never got more with him because Urban, again, absolutely the MVP of the film. He brought that character to life wonderfully. And I'm not a huge Judge Dredd guy, just from what I've seen, just what I know about the character. I think that's a sell for me on Judge Dredd. Because the world's really interesting. Like you make your police officers judge, jury, and executioner, which I mean now would be more topical than ever was before. I mean, Judge Dredd should make a comeback. Give him a series. Give him something.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so Tenet.
Yes, you finally watched this because it's on HBO Max now, right?
Yep.
You know who's loving that?
I wish I would have seen it in theaters, but
you know, old Nolan's loving this right now. He's loving that people can watch on HBO Max.
Oh, I know, right?
He's having a grand old time.
I mean, I don't necessarily think this is not like in the same league of like a Dunkirk or an Inception, but I liked it better than you did.
Well, sure.
And I think that there's some super intriguing ideas here. I think that Nolan is absolutely going crazy with the whole idea of like playing around with time in his movies. It's a little off the rails, sure. Dragon, I gotta tell you, the thing that really worked for me in the movie that I was surprised worked, that I don't think worked for you was when I heard that the main character was just named the protagonist, I was like, really? But that worked for me, man. Because I am very much in the mindset of like this movie is supposed to be like John David Washington is essentially the audience in this movie. Like he's going along, trying to figure it out, trying to put the pieces together just as much as the audience is. And I like the idea that in universe, like it's like this agency where it's like, it's kind of like the protagonist is kind of like a 007 title, Dragon. That's kind of what I got out of that. And I can sign off on that. I really can. I honestly kind of like the idea.
But we could have given him any other name than protagonist, though. Come on.
I don't mind it. Because I think it's clever in like a 007 kind of way, honestly. But I need to watch the film a couple more times to be sure. But hey, it's on HBO Max, so I can.
Yep.
I'm super intrigued by this, Dragon. I think this is going to be a film that holds up more and more on rewatch. I really do. I think this is a puzzle box of a movie, and I have not solved the puzzle quite yet. Like I said, I absolutely don't think it's a masterpiece on the same level of Inception or Dunkirk. God, no. But I also don't think it's nearly as mixed in tone or execution as something like Interstellar. I think Interstellar maybe had higher highs than this one did, but it also very much had lower lows for me. I don't know, man. Like I really do think sort of the point of this movie, like what Nolan was trying to experiment with, was the whole idea of like the time travel concepts in this movie are so complicated that like the character himself is trying to put the pieces together as it goes along, right? Like that's, I don't know, like I kind of get like the analogy that I keep seeing, like, because I kind of dived into some, like video essays on this on YouTube. I'm not gonna lie, and that's kind of what's shaping my opinion in a more positive direction. But Dragon, in a lot of ways, I feel like this is sort of like a spiritual successor to Inception in some ways, whereas Inception was about dreams, this is about time. And Inception on a metaphorical level was about the art of making movies, and I feel like this on a metaphorical level is about watching movies and experiencing movies. Does that make any sense to you?
I mean, kind of. I don't know if I can get behind it, but I think I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And I also think the pacing is damn good. Like, it is a movie of pure spectacle, but so is Dunkirk, and I love Dunkirk.
How'd you feel about Branagh, though?
What about Kenneth Branagh?
Yeah, Kenneth Branagh. How'd you think about the bad guy of the movie? Yeah, that whole thing.
I thought he was good. What do you think?
I don't know. I just felt like that was a pacing issue for me. I don't know. Something about the bad guys.
It slows down in the middle. It does.
I feel like, I don't know, it's like, until we do the inversion stuff, until we truly, like the inversion stuff is always like the big selling, the big revelation is like, oh my god, hey, that fight from earlier, we're revisiting that fight as we're going, that's where the movie has, but it takes so long to get there. That's for me, is the Tenet got into that place. I know it's a tricky week. I don't know, just going into a movie for it to be a puzzle box, and I'm not going to have, like, at least more enjoyment with that first watch. I don't know if that's it's kind of an issue. I don't know.
I think Dunkirk is kind of a puzzle box to a certain
extent. But here's I think the key to it too is that Dunkirk is very digestible, and you can catch up as the film is going to what's going on rather easily and fill in the spaces. Like, yes, a rewatch would be even better, but that's what I'm saying. It's like Dunkirk, you can figure out as you're watching. That's a solvable puzzle box where Nolan's creating like a 3-dimensional, like a 5th-dimensional Rubik's cube.
Fair enough. I don't know, like Dragon, I like it just because of the storytelling potential that Nolan represents. I will gladly take something like this over something generic. It's not Nolan's best work, but I appreciate how ambitious and forward thinking it is. All right, what's next?
All right, next. So I used structure things here. So here's one of Nolan's favorite movies.
Yeah. You went on a bit of a Michael Mann binge, didn't you?
A little bit. So yeah, this is Heat. So Heat, of course, this is very much one of Nolan's favorite movies because he's a big fan of Michael Mann. That inspired a lot of elements of The Dark Knight. Is given kind of some Dark Knight-centric stuff we have coming up. I figured, I'd watch Heat. And I've always been meaning to watch Heat, but again, it was on Stars. I was unable to watch it until the watch-a-thon, so hence the timing. So I kept checking. Like, I always wanted to watch Heat since that last watch-a-thon. I was like, oh, I missed it. Darn it. It was on Stars the whole time. I'm so stupid. Why? But, it's long, but it's real good, Tiki. This is really good. You've seen this, right?
No, I have not.
Oh, trust me, it's definitely worth looking into, especially if you like Nolan stuff. This is very much like the blueprint for the crime drama that Nolan kind of interpreted here, where you have we have a thief, and we have kind of this thief and kind of robber and kind of coordinator of bank heist and kind of capers, and the Robert De Niro character. De Niro is the thief, plays Neil McCauley, and he's going up against his opposite, like his joke, the Batman Joker relationship, if you will. De Niro's the Joker, the Batman of this film is Pacino playing Vincent Hanna. The detective trying to nab him. So the big sell going into this movie is very famously De Niro and Pacino only share one scene together amidst their cat and mouse game of the whole movie. One scene. It's in a diner. And they have like a really honest conversation about the nature of, and again, you can see this very much inspired the interrogation scene in The Dark Knight.
Sure.
These two opposing forces having a scene together across a table, where basically they lay all their cards out on the table about what their philosophies and what they believe in their life in parallel to each other, which is running the entire film. It's got an all-star cast. You've got Kilmer, you got Val Kilmer, you got Tom Sizemore, you got John Voight, you got Dennis Haysbert. You got everybody in this puppy, like a young Natalie Portman. They're all in this.
Oh wow, that must be a super young Natalie Portman.
I know, and she plays Pacino's stepdaughter. Yeah. You have Bill Fichtner, who plays the guy who runs the bank, the mob bank in The Dark Knight. He is in this as well. Again, he loved Heat. Put everyone in it he could. So it's just the movie is just this. The best way to tell it is this movie is it's full of like clever criminality. This is the clever criminality that informs stuff that you and I worship with the Albuquerque verse in terms of like clever criminals. That's pretty much what De Niro is all about. Like you can outthink the good guys versus just being sloppy and violent, like you're calculated in violence, so to speak. Only violent if it comes down to it, which it definitely comes down to it. I'll say that much.
Right.
It's cinematic and story driven. But again, ultimately, it's about the struggle of two men. Again, basically representing the Heat, where the Heat coming after you versus the Heat, being the law and order, struggling to maintain, to make the case. How difficult it is when you go up against really smart criminals. So it's very good, lived up to the hype. A little lengthy, but it's worth it.
Cool. All right, so Dragon, we have a mystery movie on my end.
I have no idea what this is, kids.
All right, well, Dragon, I have one question for you, buddy. I have one question, all right?
All right.
Do you prefer red or white? All right, so I know Dragon's going to get that reference.
Oh, boy.
But for those who don't know, I watched The Perfect Host.
Yes!
Oh, this was great, Dragon. This was great. I will say, I think it takes a little bit too long to get to the big hook of the movie.
Sure, but it's still...
Oh, it was great. Once it got to the hook, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible.
But you did not see it going that way, did you?
No, absolutely not. Dragon, I feel like you could sell the premise on this more than I can. So please sell the premise, and then I'll give you my thoughts.
So Clayne Crawford, who I think best known most recently, he was Riggs in the television remake of Lethal Weapon.
Uh-huh.
So he's a criminal. From what I recall, he's a criminal who essentially he's trying to lay low, and he kind of happens upon a man's house, and that man is of course David Hyde Pierce, wonderful David Hyde Pierce. And by the way, it's been rarely does David Hyde Pierce lead a movie or be like the lead of a movie. This is a really special thing for him, which is a real shame, because he's such a good actor. So basically, you're led to believe, oh my God, David Hyde Pierce, he's going to be the poor victim we're rooting for in the movie, but he's expecting people to show up for a dinner party. Hence the whole, The Perfect Host. He's hosting a dinner party, and again, I love this genius because the biggest thing we know David Hyde Pierce for, of course, is Frasier, which left and right almost every other episode of Frasier is either Frasier or Niles hosting a dinner party.
Totally.
It's built in, and it's great. And you think, oh no, look what we're doing to our poor Niles figure here. We're holding him hostage, and then we take a dramatic left turn. We flip the script in the best way possible.
Yeah, so it turns out that David Hyde Pierce, his guests are coming over to dinner, but they're all in his head.
Yes. We went the full Bates Motel with it.
Yeah, and once it got to that direction, I was like, okay, this is great. This is awesome.
He's crazy, and now Crawford's the victim.
It very much gave me a Tusk vibe.
Yes, it's very Tusk-esque.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I will say that the last, once he gets out of the house, I feel like it kind of, I don't want to say it fizzles out because I really like the ending.
I know the ending's like the other great twist of the movie. You didn't see it coming.
It is. You're right. But I really think that the second act, when it's like, when the main character is like, really at the mercy of David Hyde Pierce. And by the way, Dragon, David Hyde Pierce, like, I swear to God, for anyone who loves the Zemo dancing meme, there's a ton of that style of dancing in this movie, right?
I just love every time he saunters up to him as he's like doing this. And, hey, Jim, how you doing?
God. Yeah, like I said, I do think that, there's maybe a little bit too much going on outside of the David Hyde Pierce stuff. Like, I could have taken or left the main character's relationship drama subplot.
Well, we need to get the tension going, which is like, it's kind of like necessary to start the fire of the kindling, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, I hear you, and you're right. It's not the most dazzling part of the movie, but it's kind of necessary.
And I do think that the subplot with the detective is, at first I thought, like, all right, this is kind of like, this is sort of disattached from everything else, until it's not.
Yep.
That was great.
Oh God, so fun.
So yeah, overall, Dragon. I mean, I don't like. I honestly think my main problem with this is it's a little nitpicky, but I just don't think it's shot in the most compelling way. I really don't think there's a lot of
Well,
there's a lot of
considering there's not a lot of other characters in those scenes, Tiki, there's only so much you can do.
well, there's some scenes where there's plenty of characters.
Oh, well, yeah, you're right. Sorry, I was thinking about just the joke of the movie. Like, oh yeah, there's no one in the room with him. You're right.
No, but I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I just felt like the cinematography was pretty static.
That's
But
fine. I mean, I guess it's been a while since I've watched it. Maybe you're right.
and also I'll throw this out about Tenet. Jesus Christ, the sound design is off.
I know, right?
It's like, wow, I couldn't
imagine how Tiki, if you're feeling that watching it on HBO Max, imagine how it was in theaters.
No, I was gonna say I can't imagine watching that movie without subtitles. I really
That's what
can't.
I'm saying. It was you got off lucky, pal. There's guesstimating going for. Imagine any of the Bane complaints just magnified for the whole film.
Oh, I never got the Bane complaints. I was able to hear every word of Bane's dialogue just fine.
I know. I'm just saying for anyone who had that. So imagine it's taking that, which is like I guess it's like a subjectivity of the ear thing, but that's
No, it wasn't even. It was just the mixing that was off. The mixing
I know.
was really bad.
Yeah.
Like noticeably bad.
I would have called BS if Tenet won like an Oscar for sound or anything.
Well, fortunately, Sound of Metal existed this year. So
yes, of course.
All right. Anyways, okay. So what's next?
All right. Next is The Purple Rose of Cairo.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with this one at all?
It sounds familiar.
Okay, let me tell you. The Purple Rose of Cairo. This is a good one. This, now it's a little awkward, mind you, so here's why. So this, for ages, for a while, because I could never get my hands on it until the Stars thing, I realized, oh my God, it's on Stars. This is a Woody Allen movie.
Oh, boy.
That I've really wanted to see for a long while, and for ages I just kind of forgot the name of it because I saw the clip. I always remember the clip because it's a really good premise. And it's been as I watched the Woody Allen documentary way back when. That's how I learned about it. So then, of course, it's on my mind recently with the Woody Allen thing. So this is the Woody Allen movie that stars Mia Farrow. And the irony post Allen v. Farrow is not lost on me, I assure you. But yes, that's so. Divorcing yourself from that, mind you. Still, movie's really good. The film itself, pretty great. It's set in the Great Depression. This is all about this is more what your Tenet experience is to me. Less puzzly, mind you. It's just in terms of like the whole putting the audience in the shoes of the protagonist. In that, so Mia Farrow is the lead. She plays Cecilia. Now Cecilia is in a horrible marriage with Danny Aiello in the middle of the Great Depression. I'm pretty sure. And she goes to the movies as her way of escaping her very sad life. She's a waitress who just gets yelled at for dropping dishes and stuff, and it's a whole. You feel very sorry for her. So she sees the movies as her means of escape. And the movie that is playing at the theater is The Purple Rose of Cairo, which it's kind of pretty much it's the old school black and white fare. It's very much essentially, we're going to Egypt and we're exploring, the splendor of Egypt, and we have like a tour guide, and that tour guide and archaeologist is Tom Baxter, who's played by the wonderful Jeff Daniels. And Jeff Daniels is amazing. Jeff Daniels is the reason I watched the movie, by the way, because the whole premise is that she keeps seeing this movie a lot to escape life, and one day on the screen, the Jeff Daniels character, Tom Baxter in character, he breaks the fourth wall, literally, and he says, "Hey, you must really love this movie." And he's talking to her in the audience. All the moviegoers are going like, "Wait, what? What is happening?" And I just got to talk to you. He walks out of the movie and in real life. So that's the premise. It's like this character, this film character, is manifested himself in real life, walked off the screen. And it's a courtship of the Mia Farrow character, and it's kind of this great kind of metaphor about the relationship between the audience, between escapism and life. It's kind of escapism and life and reality, I should say. But yeah, it's just the way Woody Allen did this, in which you have this charming archaeologist character, and it's kind of that's kind of fun. But what's really great, I completely did not see coming, is that the real world ramifications are all over this movie. Like, oh my god, a man just walked out of there's like the theater owners panicking and they're worried about, oh, what if this happens to the other prince that are going around the world? Like the characters in the movie don't know what to do. It's like, well, we're just waiting for our guy to return. We're just kind of stuck in the scene right now. Like, well, you're not supposed to be in this reel. Oh my god, I gotta that sort of stuff. And like the actor who plays Tom Baxter, so Jeff Daniels it's the actor within the actor of the movie. It's real heady and meta. It's wonderful. So again, it's wonderful, clever, and it's got a real honest ending. I think you'd really get a kick out of this. If any Woody Allen movie would ever grab you, it would be this one.
I still don't know how I feel about watching a Woody Allen.
I know. I'm aware of how odd the situation is, especially with the Mia Farrow of it all. But taking a movie for its own salt, it was really clever.
I think I'll stick with Midnight in Paris, Dragon.
Fine. I mean, he's not even in the movie, though. I mean, that'd be weirder if it were like a movie where he's in it. He's not in the movie.
Well, he's not in Midnight in Paris.
I know, it's what I'm saying. So this should be the same principle.
All right. Oh, okay.
You haven't even watched that documentary yet.
No, I haven't.
That's what I'm saying. So you're right now. You should watch it, then watch documentary, then feel bad.
Whatever.
Anyway,
honestly, the way you described it doesn't really sound like it'd be up my alley.
Really, a man walks off the. Okay, well, fine. All
right. Okay. So, Dragon, I was last night. I was just kind of like searching on YouTube. I was kind of craving surreal animation. Like that's honestly one of the reasons why I signed up for Disney Plus, is that I could just have stuff like Alice in Wonderland and Fantasia just at my fingertips. And I saw like The Thief and the Cobbler, the recobbled cut, just up on YouTube, ready to go.
We can't get away from these different cuts, can we?
But you know what, Dragon? This was goddamn. This was incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh, Dragon, I can't get over the animation. I really can't. The animation in this is just this is a visual masterpiece. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. Just the abstract architecture, the fluidity in the character movements. The story itself is fine.
Yeah,
it's really not that big of a story per se. But the animation is like easily just the showcase, and it's jaw dropping in some spots, and then the way that the cut kind of blends in animatics and stuff, it does it in a really natural way, like a more natural way than I was expecting, and so just from a purely visual point of view, Dragon, this was a treat. Oh my god, I was really taken aback by just how beautiful this thing looks.
Ah, good to hear.
Yeah.
All right. So that brings us to Heist. All right, so Heist, not a lot here really. This is released in 2001. It was part of the Star. All the movies on my list are from Stars, essentially. So,
yeah, I remember when this came out.
With the exception of the very end, but we'll get there. But yeah, so this is a David Mamet film. I got to tell you, though, I've had really unpleasant experiences with these David Mamet films, with the exception of Glenn Ross. But I know he didn't direct that, but that's my point. So far, these movies that he's both written and directed, they have not ended well. Makes me doubt his abilities. I got to be honest. So the reason I watched, I didn't do it for the David Mamet factor. I watched this for the Gene Hackman books. I love Gene Hackman.
Figured, yeah.
Yeah, I got to tell you. So just looking at it in simple terms, I love Gene Hackman. I got my Hackman fix. It's had a great cast. Great cast again, where we have like Delroy Lindo, of course, coming off way before. Way before Defy Bloods, but still, Lindo, and he was in Get Shorty, so I had Lindo on the mind. Like, okay, there's another reason to watch this. We have Danny DeVito, who bleeds into my next movie I got, and most impressively, Sam Rockwell. He was in this.
Right.
But yeah, it's not bad, but it falls prey to the old too many twist in the heist movie thing, like the age-old cliche of like by the third act, like, it's twist and this twist. it's like you thought I was doing this, but I was doing that. So by the end, I think that hurts the film, despite having its clever moments. But that's what it is. Just I like Hackman yelling at people. You get that.
Okay. Next up, we have WeWork, or the making and breaking of a $47 billion unicorn. It's billion with a B, Dragon, not million.
Wait, really?
Yes.
You sent me a lot of millions, Tiki. Sure, I could have sworn it was not billion.
Okay,
but I'll take your word for it.
I'm correcting myself then.
All right. But
I've been 47 billion. Wrap your head around that.
Yeah, I was gonna watch this, Tiki, but then I got swamped with all the stars of it all. So
you're gonna love it.
So this is good then. You're telling me it's good.
It's great. Dragon, this is it's up there with like, it's very reminiscent of Firefest. It almost feels like a spiritual successor to Firefest in some ways. It's essentially about WeWork. I'd honestly never heard of WeWork before, but apparently the whole idea of WeWork as a company is it's kind of like shared office spaces that are designed to with like a community element in mind, and so like different companies can rent out space in these offices, and but I honestly I can't even really wrap my head around like what's so appealing about it. Like, to me it just kind of seems like the dude's selling office space. And that's honestly kind of the point, Dragon. It's like this guy is so charismatic and so magnetic that he was essentially able to get one of the richest men in Japan to literally give him billions upon billions upon billions of dollars over essentially just this dude's pure charisma alone. Like, it's a really fascinating documentary about this guy kind of like he makes this culture, this work culture that very quickly turns from oh my God, we're going to change the world. This is a great place to work. This is a life-changing experience. Very quickly goes into the whole, this guy's got an ego. He's, nothing that he's actually reporting in the media lines up with the facts of the actual earnings that they're making. And they have one of the most powerful Japanese businessmen breathing down their necks about a return on investment on the billions and billions and billions that this Japanese businessman has been funneling into the company. And it's a great ride, Dragon. It's like a house of cards. It's like this guy is building a house of cards off of his personality. And then when the real world logistics of actually running a business come into fray, the house of cards comes crumbling down in glorious fashion. I think you're going to get a kick out of this. I really do.
I'm definitely going to check it out, especially with the endorsement. I'm definitely going to, look into it.
Sure.
Sounds like, if you're telling me it's like that Firefest documentary, I'm definitely.
It's very similar to Firefest, because it's got kind of it's a story about, the charismatic leader who essentially conned a whole community of people into going along with something crazy.
The initial reason I was gonna look into it is Kevin Smith. He was giving it good reviews, but so I'm definitely sold. Just the premise. Yeah. I'm checking it out for sure.
All right, we'll get to the other documentary I watched this month, but something to say this was the stronger of the two.
Well, that's I figured on that, but we'll. Okay. All right, next for me, War of the Roses.
Yeah, what's this even about? I've heard the plot, I've heard the title floating around a lot, but I don't know much about it.
It's so funny you mentioned that. So let me tell you why I finally watched this. So I have for years I have seen this title, and I've always as I'm scrolling through when I get to the W sections, War of the Roses. I have no idea what that is. Never.
Right. Same here.
Yeah,
I remember my grandma used to own a VHS of it, and I had no idea what it was.
I had no idea. Of course, years later. So now I was watching this career retrospective on Danny DeVito,
Uh-huh.
And they mentioned the stuff that he had directed, and he had directed War of the Roses. So I think that was as close. I heard that he directed it. So I heard he directed it. It gave me
Smoochie.
DeVito. I assume he directed as well. He was involved in it. I think he directed it too. Yeah.
Deaf to Smoochie.
Yeah, which is another one I want to check out, by the way. Because
oh my God! Oh, that's one.
Believe me,
that's
if I could,
your alley, Dragon.
If I get my hands on it, I check it out. Believe me.
All right.
Anyway, but yeah, so the DeVito directed this, and has the thing additionally sold me. He's like, oh my God, Michael Douglas is in this. Yes. Yeah, heard some praises and the DeVito of it all, and basically this is a twisted film about divorce. It's kind of marriage. It's kind of like Marriage Story, but just as the darkest, twisted version of Marriage Story.
Well, I would say the most dark and twisted version of Marriage Story you can get is the Omni-Man and Debbie Grayson subplot of Invincible.
Fair enough. Fine. This is like a more like stylistically twisted version then.
Yeah.
So yeah, the framing device, it has a really clever framing device. So Danny DeVito, he plays a character in the movie. He plays the divorce attorney and friend of the family who basically helped facilitate their divorce. He is, I think, more so a friend of, he talks to both of them. I don't want to say he's just more Michael Douglas than Kathleen Turner. So it's Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, which again is a fun reunion for all three of them from the Romancing the Stone of it all. Like all three of them in that movie together. So Danny DeVito, he is the divorce attorney, basically giving a client who I believe is Dan Castellaneta, if I recall correctly. Because he's in the movie. I think he's basically a guy's coming in. Basically, it's really absurd and funny. He's just listen, before you say a word, I'm pretty sure the gag is like Dan Castellaneta doesn't say a thing in the movie, really.
Oh, really?
Given that he's a voice actor, which is kind of funny.
That's especially funny because he's a voice actor.
Exactly. So it's like, listen, before we proceed here, I feel the urge to tell it. Basically, DeVito begins this monologue and then becomes the narrator of the story, just kind of telling you what happened between this couple as a cautionary tale for anyone who wants a divorce. And it's just it's you have Oliver and Barbara with the Douglas and Turner here, and it's basically it starts off as a love story that turns into a horror story of these two. Eventually, as things kind of go to the rocks, they agree to divorce. But here's the big line in the sand: they refuse to give up their big fancy house. That essentially, his success bought the house, but, she was there to aid in the success. Ergo, they both have a right to the house as far as they see it, which then leads to some dark insanity that keeps getting ratcheted up to 11 as they resent each other. And it leads to
idea it was so dark.
It's really dark, Tiki. It leads to the third act. It gets progressively dark to the point where you get to the third act where it's completely insane. Where there's a literal war within the house, hence the namesake. And it's like, Michael Douglas's character, he's deluded, where Kathleen Turner is certifiably insane and scary. And it's very unique. It's very well made. Not my go-to, mind you. It's a little too dark for my taste now, having seen it, but it is very well made.
Cool. All right. Okay. Get towards the end here. Oh, sweet Jesus, my octopus teacher. Dragon, I honestly think the footage in this movie is fucking wonderful, and that's probably why it won Best Documentary, right? Like, because as a nature documentary, the footage that this dude captures of like the underwater environments and the actual octopus, it's some pretty stellar nature footage. The problem with this documentary is that this dude is just a fucking basket case when it comes to just like picking apart the the quote unquote relationship that he's forming with this damn octopus dragon. It's like basically he thinks that he's forming like a Hiccup and Toothless type bond with this fucking octopus.
See, this makes me want you to watch Resident Alien even more so, because an octopus gag you really gotta see.
Okay, the problem with this movie though, have you seen Grizzly Man?
No.
Okay, Grizzly Man, that is a documentary that would fucking compel you.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's about a man who documented his experiences living with grizzly bears. He was a crazy person for sure, but he was like, oh, I can just vibe with the grizzly bears, and if I treat them with respect, then they'll treat then they'll respect me, and it'll be all good. Well, Dragon, it did not end well. Did not end well.
Okay, so that's a sell for me. Okay, knowing it did not end well. For that
You need to watch Grizzly Man, Dragon.
That would have been calling BS. Like, you mean to tell me nothing bad happened with this crazy man hanging out with bears? You're out of your mind.
You need to watch Grizzly Man. Make that a priority.
Look, if I can get my hands on, I'll check it out.
It's a Werner Herzog documentary too.
Oh,
yeah.
Now there's a sell for you.
Oh, and there's a moment with Herzog, like, because you know how Herzog, like inserts himself into documentaries sometimes, right? There's a moment with Herzog. I don't want to give away anything, but like, it's him interacting with someone associated with the subject. Oh my God, it's some of the most compelling documentary footage, Dragon. Oh God. Anyways, this is not Grizzly Man, but the problem is Grizzly Man, it's kind of like a similar level of like the footage in Grizzly Man is incredible, but they are framing it like, yeah, this dude is being totally stupid like the whole time. It's like, no, this is clearly like, what the hell is this guy doing? The problem with My Octopus Teacher is like, this guy is like if the documentary would just like address the fact that this guy is like way overly interpreting everything that's going down with this octopus, like it kind of like psychoanalyzed it, then I honestly think it'd be really interesting. Like if there was another person involved with this process who was like, okay, like this guy is like clearly just like obsessed with this octopus, and he's like crafting this whole narrative bond that he's having with this octopus that really doesn't exist. But Dragon, unfortunately, that's not the movie. Like, we don't psychoanalyze this dude at all. It's basically just this dude's vanity project. And so it's kind of like all the insanity of Grizzly Man without any of the compelling, like, like analytical kind of like, what did it mean? Like, what was he trying to prove? It's just like, I fucking love this octopus, so I'm gonna fucking tell you about this. Like, it's stupid. Like, honestly, like from what I know about the nominees for best documentary, like I only saw a couple of them, but I honestly think any one of them would have been a better winner than this one. But like I said, it looks pretty.
I know that's it. Every time I see like them playing the footage of it and like watch it, trailer, like, man, that footage does look really nice.
Honestly, Dragon, if you want to just like zen out, like put on like a music playlist and just mute the movie and watch it that way, honestly. Because it really is just the dude's narration. That's the problem. All right.
Okay, next for me. This is one of the highlights, truly. The Negotiator.
Okay.
The Negotiator was from 98.
I think I've heard of this.
Truly a highlight. This is a great movie. So you have Sam Jackson, you have Kevin Spacey.
Yes, I have very much heard of this. Yes.
They play hostage negotiators, and the cell is great. The premise is great. So Sam Jackson, who plays Danny Roman, again, both hostage negotiators, but they don't really necessarily know each other. So beloved negotiator Sam Jackson. Like we open the movie like an example of, okay, this is what he does on a day-to-day basis. He's really good at his job. Veteran people love him in the department of the Chicago PD. So a conspiracy happens, and he's kind of he's confronted by a friend of him, like, hey, listen, I think there's some shady going on in the department. Will you help me snuff it out? And of course, what happens? That guy gets killed, and then Jackson is framed for his murder.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, he goes to IA, to the internal affairs, to kind of get the whole thing. He's brought in for questioning, and they're basically about to ask him to like turn the gun in the badge. And things go bad, Tiki. He turns the IA office into a hostage situation. He takes them all hostage. And he basically is trying to use the time to unravel the conspiracy within IA. He's unraveling the conspiracy. Basically, no one leaves until I can prove my innocence, essentially. So he specifically requests the Kevin Spacey character, Chris Sabian. So so it's basically two really smart and experienced hostage negotiators kind of at odds with each other here. Like they're trying to out-manipulate each other through the whole movie, where, it's like, Sabian's whole thing is, I got to save the hostages. And, regardless of what the truth is, if there's a frame up or whatever's going, I got to save those hostages in that room. And, Sam Jackson, of course, it's about, it's exposing the truth and clearing his name. It's got great tension in it. A lot of familiar faces, like Paul Giamatti's in this. You got Giamatti, you got Dean Norris, our guy. You got Hank, and David Morse, guy from the Green Mile, like Tom Hanks's number 2
Uh-huh.
guy in Green Mile. So yeah, it's kind of a who can you trust though. I had a great time with it. It was very much it was big highlight.
Cool, cool. Ooh, okay, getting towards the end here. Lake Mungo. So this is one of 2 found footage horror movies on Shudder that I watched. This is a super understated found footage movie, Dre. Super understated. The a really interesting thing about this is that essentially it's about a family, and it's like a pretty stereotypical like nuclear family. It's an Australian movie though. But it's a pretty stereotypical nuclear family of like the mom, the dad, the brother, and the sister. And the sister drowns in a lake, and it's not the titular Lake Mungo itself, which is kind of weird. But the sister drowns in a lake, and from that point forward, I don't know how to sell this to you, man, because I think it's really interesting, but you're not going to think it's interesting. The brother is essentially a student filmmaker, like Katie Mitchell, that kind of, not quite as creative.
Okay,
but,
very green filmmaker, film student.
Right. But, so essentially the brother takes security cam footage from the family, because it's kind of like a well-off family. They live in kind of like a big house, so they've got like a security setup. And he essentially manipulates the footage to incorporate ghosts of his sister. So essentially what he would do is like he'd set up like like reflections of pictures and stuff like that. And basically he did that as like a coping mechanism, like a grieving process, specifically to help the mother. But then the twist comes in that no, there's an actual haunting going on outside of him just manipulating the footage. And there's a really fucking creepy moment. I generally speaking, I didn't really care for the movie. I think it's a little overhyped. There's a really creepy moment though where they see the family digs up footage of a trip to the titular Lake Mungo, like an overnight kind of girls camp thing. And they dig up some footage of that, and the daughter essentially comes face to face on this footage with a creature that is essentially the drowned, bloated corpse of herself.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's fucking horrifying.
Nice.
Also, that's another big plot point, is that the father identifies the body, and the body is indeed this horrifying, like, bloated corpse.
Ugh.
But the mother does not have the heart to go in and also identify the body. So that kind of creates a big divide of like, the father knows she's dead, right? Like she, like he saw the body. It left an impression. The mother, because she didn't see the body, there's always going to be that tinge of doubt. So it's an interesting family drama. It very much does that thing where it's like, I feel like modern horror is almost leaning into this a little too much. Where it's like, oh, there's nothing in frame at first glance, but if you squint hard enough, there's something super creepy in the frame. I mean, that's clever, Dragon, but I feel like modern horror is using it like they're almost kind of like it's like an anti-jump scare, right? It's like sometimes it can be so subtle that it's like you really just kind of have to be squinty to see it. But yeah, overall, outside of that one incredibly terrifying scene that I described, I didn't really think there was a ton going on here. I've seen much more compelling found footage horror movies, but it was still all right.
All right. Okay, so funny, we have like a Shudder theme going on here, at least for the most part. My next 2 movies are from Shudder.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so also documentaries. Okay, Smoke and Mirrors, the story of Tom Savini. So I'm familiar with Tom Savini from my experience. Again, folks, just to set the tone, I can't watch horror movies unless they're horror comedies. Either one of two things: either horror comedies like an Evil Dead or something, or they're documentaries about horror. As in, I can hear people talking about horror. I don't want to watch that from start to finish. Though I don't have the constitution. I'm afraid I just don't. But so Tom Savini, he pops up a lot in the Friday the 13th documentary, Crystal Lake Memories. So that's how I kind of became familiar with him. This guy is essentially, he is the famed makeup and effects man. He perfected the slasher kill. That's kind of his big claim to fame, mainly through his work with Friday the 13th and other stuff that he's done along the way. The man's top tier. Basically, it was like a passing of the torch. He had Dick Smith, who's like the original guy, who did The Exorcist, for example. So he passes this torch and kind of some of his techniques to Savini, and Savini runs with it and builds his own career. Now, I found this quite informative. This is quite nice. It's not like I set the world on fire, but just being familiar with Tom Savini only in like the effects kind of realm of things, I get to learn about Tom Savini, the man. Like, the big thing is that he became, an effects man for horror movies and slasher movies because he had gone to Vietnam. He saw it up close. That's how he made his kills so realistic and gruesome and scary, because he had the experience seeing it up close in Vietnam. And beyond that, something I never knew about. I never knew Tom Savini was an actor. He basically, in every role, every job he had done, he had usually played a bit part. So he'd kind of been in there, but also the indie directors, in working with him on the effects, they love him. They put him in the movies. Like Robert Rodriguez puts him in a lot of movies, and I believe Tarantino might have worked him in there once or twice somewhere. So it's really nice, really informative. It's lovely to see, like, the industry showing a lot of love towards the man, just kind of talking with him with such reverence and respect. And Tom Savini, he went on to form the special makeup and effects program. He has like his own special effects school. It's really nice. It's nice to get to know Tom Savini. A delightful, charming man, despite him creating the stuff of nightmares.
Ooh, okay. Taking of Deborah Logan. This is very similar to the M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Visit. Very similar premise, except instead of grandkids, found footage going to see their senile grandparents, it's more documentary filmmakers. Kind of think like the Kid Kubrick of it all. That kind of documentary filmmaker, like that sort of like student filmmaker vibe. And Dragon, essentially these people are like exploiting an old woman with Alzheimer's because the family's like really financially like struggling, and they're basically like snooty rich kids who are like, oh, this crazy woman, she's exhibiting like really interesting behaviors. Let's document this for a documentary. And we're going to pay the family to do it, even though the woman doesn't want to be documented. First act is super compelling because it's like, oh my god, like this. And by the way, we got a little bit of a bookend Alzheimer's theme going on here.
I know, I noticed. Yeah, it's kind of the horror movie version of The Father. Yeah,
right. First act is very similar to The Village in terms of like it's just like creepy, like creepy old person acting crazy. Where it really devolves, Dragon, is oh my god, it gets into like, so it turns out that she's not crazy at all. She's part of a demon cult, and she's trying to resurrect the Antichrist or whatever. And then the movie kind of frankly falls off a cliff, and you don't even need to hear the details. People really like this one a lot, but I just think that it really bothers me. It's like a real pet peeve of mine with horror movies, where if you've got a really interesting premise that's rooted in the real world, that to me can be way more scary than any sort of supernatural shit you throw at me. And this, it's like, it's a very good premise rooted in the real world, and then just they go off the rails with it pretty damn quickly with the whole like, no, she's actually in a demon cult. And yeah, it just, I don't know. I like the first act, but other than that, it really didn't do much. I just thought like it just kind of like bit off way too much more than it could chew with the paranormal stuff. All right, take us home, Dragon.
All right, last one. Oh, poor baby, you're exhausted. All right, so okay. Lastly, this is honestly it was two documentaries, but essentially it's like they're kind of the same in a series. So I just figured I'd lump them in. Not really anything new added to the spoke. It's In Search of Darkness, parts 1 and part 2. So this is quite the undertaking documentary. I was meaning to get to it, and I wish I was not under the gun of time on this, like only having like a couple of days essentially. Because these are both 4 hour plus documentaries.
Oh God,
individually.
yeah.
It's roughly a 9 hour sit. So, yeah, this was the most recent in the documentary series done by David A. Weiner and Oliver Harper. Oliver Harper, he does tremendous work on YouTube. You can find it. It's called the Retros. Remember the Superman retrospectives I show you?
Yes.
It's this guy. Anyway, so he done like the last act, In Search of the Last Action Heroes and stuff like that. And they're doing like In Search of Tomorrow, which is about sci-fi. This is the horror section of it. Anyway, so not a lot here. Just this is an extensive horror documentary. It ain't no Crystal Lake Memories or Never Sleep Again. Those have like kind of more of a there's more of a. It's much more. They're basically equal in length. The Camp Crystal Lake thing is longer, yet this feels like more of a slog, and I'll tell you why. Despite the fact that we got really great, interviews and great people who were there, and of course James Rolfe, for example, the great James Rolfe, weighing in on horror and everything after everything he's kind of weighed in on. This goes through every year of the '80s for the '80s horror, and yet in 2 4-hour documentaries, why don't we either A, make the second part about the '90s if we're going to go through every year, or B, maybe just take the time, because basically we rehash the same documentary, only different movies in the second one. Like, hey, we're going through every year and talk about the movies we didn't talk about in the first part. Let's get them all out of the way. Like, go to like 85 or 86 by part 1, then the rest of it the other way. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's so it's the risk of a massive documentary. It's not one I'd rewatch. The second part had some cool stuff in, like Savini and Kane Hodder and stuff like that. But it's they kind of end without ceremony. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that'll do it.
wait. The best and worst.
Yeah, I know. I was setting that up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so best and worst for me, as far as best goes, I'm gonna have to say the Mitchells versus the Machines, just because I can't really imagine myself going back to the father too much. It's a pretty depressing movie. Whereas Mitchells versus the Machines, I've already watched it twice, and I'll probably watch it more. It's like it's a very digestible movie. And then as far as worst goes, Dragon, can I just say Feed the Beast?
I mean, sure.
I mean, that honestly is the thing that I
No, wait. No, you can't. No, you can't use Feed the Beast. Realize. No, you can't use that.
That is the thing that I watched this month that pissed me off the most, Dragon. Make no mistake about that. I want to emphasize that. I really just... Feed the Beast was like everything I don't like about modern day TV. But honestly, Separation was pretty weak too. It's like, honestly, the only reason I even saw Separation in theaters was because it had like a 7% on Rotten Tomatoes or something. I was like, oh my God, this could be another Serenity. Like, I'm on the lookout for another Serenity experience, Dragon. That was like lightning in a bottle. But anyways, so Dragon, one quick update with the May movies. There's really not much until the end of the month, but at the end of the month we get Cruella, which, whatever, like, I'll watch it just because I run a Disney YouTube channel. I know that sounds cynical, and it is. I mean, granted, like, I am still sort of intrigued by the punk rock aesthetic of it all, so we'll see how that goes. But, Dragon, hallelujah, it's finally happening. I was right. A Quiet Place Part 2 is coming out in the last weekend of the month.
Well, there you go.
I'm fucking stoked.
There's
ready.
There's a victory for you.
Yeah. Your best and worst, Dragon.
And my best and worst. Again, best is tricky because I don't want... I mean, I think if we're looking for something recent, it would be the Mitchells versus the Machines, sure. But I'm just factoring the catch-up of it all. I mean, it's either Negotiator or Heat.
Big heavy hitters in catch-up. I can understand.
Like I really enjoyed Negotiator, where Heat's a classic though. Heat's just kind of a long sit though. The point being, those kind of what I'm looking at in terms of best. Worst easily probably be Heist. I mean, Heist was just got David Mamet let me down yet again. You know, after that Phil Spector movie, it's like, come on, Mamet. Your name's supposed to mean something, darn it.
Yeah.
I got my Hackman fixed, but not much else.
Dragon, even as a little kid, I remember that movie sounded generic. All right.
Oh wait, hold on. No, I gotta take that back. Sorry. Thunder Force, that's the worst movie. What am I thinking? Yes, Thunder Force was the worst.
Fair enough. That's totally fair.
That's way worse than Heist. Heist is just that I still got Hackman. I don't get anything in that Thunder Force movie. That's out of Bateman. That's still not Bateman with crab arms. So let me just rephrase. Okay, so Thunder Force is easily the worst. Best. I mean, just to differentiate from yours, it's either Heist. It's either Heat or the Negotiator. I'm leaning towards the Negotiator.
Oh.
All right.
Cool. All right, well, folks, we've waxed on long enough, and it's time to put the pen down. Until next time, we'll return for another fitting chapter in our Memoirs.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I don't know. I was trying to think of a Mitchell versus the Machine quotes, but there's so many.
Dang it, Katie.
Dang it,